The following is a special presentation of WOBL and WDLW Sports, the Lorain County Sports Network. On Facebook, on YouTube, on air, online, and on the app. The Lorain County Sports Network, your home for high school football. Hard to believe we're in week 8. It always seems like it just flies by. Well, regardless, the playoffs are just 3 short weeks away. There's still work to be done for a lot of our local teams, both in terms of conference races and in terms of the playoffs. We'll look at how the playoffs light up today and what might need to happen for your team to, number 1, make the playoffs, and number 2, land in a favorable spot in the postseason. Good evening, I'm Don Vincent, and this is the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show on the Lorain County Sports Network. Through Wednesday of this week, you can save up to an additional $3,000 in rebates and special financing at Stewart's. Shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's in Elyria. Since we're going to start looking at postseason potentials, it's important to review how the tournament will set up. It's different this year. The OHSAA listened to coaches and administrators, and possibly even some media, and reduced the number of games in the tournaments to 12 per region. Week 1, which is October 31, sees teams 1 through 4 getting byes. Teams 5 through 8 are given the opportunity to host. Okay, so let's be real. They will host if there's any way possible. 5 plays number 12, 6 plays number 11, so on and so forth. The quarterfinals on November 7th will see the winner of the game between 8 and 9 play the 1 seed. The winner of 7 and 10 gets the 2 seed, and so on. As we go through the numbers today, by the way, tip of the cap to joeitel.com and Drew Pasture at fantastic50.net. Both are really helpful in looking at this stuff. So let's get started. We'll go by conference, but we're going to include the tourney action as well. In the LC8, we'll start with 0-7 Brookside at 3-4 Black River. It's doubtful that the Cards see Week 11. Black River is on the bubble right now at 13 in Region 18. Win out, which isn't inconceivable, and you're likely in, but on the road. The 3-4 Wellington Dukes are at Firelands tonight, also 3-4, and sitting at the 18th seed in D4 Region 14. The Dukes are at 17 in D5 Region 18. Both would have to win out to stand a chance at the postseason. One is most likely out tonight. The other one has a rough go of it. Our first YouTube stream game tonight involves 2 teams in D4 Region 14. 0-7 Clearview visits 2-5 Oberlin. Both are likely out of the postseason. There is a chance for Oberlin, but they would need to win out, including a Week 9 game against Columbia and a Week 10 game against Keystone. Tonight's game should be entertaining, though. Dave Rivera and Jared Viancourt will be on campus at Oberlin College for the call. Search Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube for the game. The final game in the LC8 has playoffs written all over it. 7-0 Columbia heads west to 5-2 Keystone. Columbia is currently the 6th seed in Division 6 Region 21. Win out, and they take a break in Week 11. Unless they lose all 3, which is unimaginable, they will see the playoffs. Keystone will most likely make the playoffs in Division 5 Region 18. Only chance they don't get there is, again, you have to lose all 3, which really won't happen. The Raiders and the Wildcats are on WOBL, 107.7 FM, 1320 AM, and WOBLradio.com tonight with Gary Tollett and Brian DeVito on the call. 4-3 Vermilion is on the road to Huron in SBC action this evening to take on the 3-4 Tigers. Of the 4 local teams in Division 4 Region 14, Vermilion ranks highest, sitting at 8 right now. If the Sailors want the opportunity to play Week 11 football, they need to win at least one of the last 3, which is very doable. Tonight could be that night. This should be a rather close one for the Sailors following last week's multiple OT performance. Lorain County has 2 teams in Division 1 Region 1. 2-5 Lorain is one of them. Tonight they host 5-2 Strongsville. The Mustangs are a likely shoe-in for the postseason, although they probably have to play on Week 11. It's doubtful that Lorain would get in, so here's a great example of why I like the 12-team versus 16 format. In the old format, if the season ended today, Lorain would play 6-1 St. Edwards, which makes absolutely 0 sense for either team. The other Lorain County D1 team takes us into SWC conference action. The 0-7 Elyria Pioneers will not make the postseason. They play the 3-4 Midview Middies in Grafton tonight. That game, by the way, is the second of our video streams on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube, with Bull Barch and Max Drummond on the call. The Middies likely need to win 2 of their last 3 to make the postseason. Here's the catch. After tonight, the Middies have D2 Olmsted Falls and Amherst. There's a window for the Middies if they take care of business tonight. Here's a fun one. 6-1 North Ridgeville heads to 3-4 Avon Lake. The Rangers currently sit at number 4 in D2 Region 6. They're in. Right now, they would take a week off. 2 wins in the last 3, they could still have that bye. There's a good bit at stake for the Rangers tonight. There might be a little bit more on the line for the Shoremen. Win the last 3, things are pretty good, and they would host. Remember, they have Avon next week, which, by the way, will be on the Cool Cats. So join us for that one. Only 2 wins makes things a little bit more dicey for the Shoremen. The last game in the SWC this week is also our Lorain County Friday Night Lights game on Facebook with Richard Flowers. 6-1 Avon heads to Spitzer Stadium to take on the 4-3 Amherst Comets. The Eagles are most likely a Week 11 bye unless things really fall apart. Currently, they sit at the number 2 seed in D2 Region 6 behind undefeated Highland, who didn't play last week due to a forfeit. Amherst is 4-3 overall, currently number 13 in Region 6. Next week versus North Ridgeville is the key for the Comets. Jump on Facebook and find Lorain County Friday Night Lights for updates from this one and all the other games in Lorain County all night long. The final game in Lorain County is the one you can hear on WDLW 98.9 FM, 1380 AM, and WDLWradio.com. 4-3 Holy Name heads to E-Town to take on the 3-4 Elyria Catholic Panthers. The Namers, a.k.a. the Green Wave, sit at number 8 in Division III Region 10 and are likely in, even if they lose the rest of their games. The Panthers sit in the same region, but the path is a little bit more demanding. Win your last 3 and you're in. Most likely on the road, though. Lose 1, you're probably out. Join Dave Granzinski and me for the call on the Cool Cat. Boy, that was a lot. Here's the Reader's Digest version. Teams that are pretty good bets to make the postseason. We've got Avon, Columbia, Keystone, North Ridgeville, and Vermilion. The bubble teams include Amherst, Black River, Firelands, and Midview. So, all right, there we go. The Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner is up next with coaches for your games before we send you out to the stadium. The Eagles visit the Comets on Lorain County Friday Night Lights on Facebook, on YouTube, and the Lorain County Sports Network. The Middies host the Pioneers, and the Falcons visit the Clippers. The Raiders will be at the Wildcats on WOBL, and Holy Name visits the Panthers on WDLW. Back with more of the Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show in a couple minutes.
Cruising into the 8th week of the high school football season, we are out at Midview High School here in Grafton, where tonight 2 teams look to end losing streaks as the Midview Middies will play host to the Elyria Pioneers, and we're happy to have it for you here on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Greetings, salutations, and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Lorain County's 4 horsemen back together again. Andy Bull Barch, Max Drummond, Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovaco with you to bring this one to you tonight. Coming your way live and in living color from the Green Path CPA Solutions broadcast booth. Not your typical accounting firm. Visit greenpathcpa.com. Lots to digest here in our Stewart's TV and Appliance pregame show. First and foremost, Max, great to be joined by you as always. Coming into this game, Elyria looking for their first win of the season. The Midview Middies started out hot at 3-0, but they've lost their last 4 games.
Yeah, a pair of teams trying to find their way here in Southwestern Conference play, as we'll hear both coaches talk about how much of a gauntlet that really is.
Well, it certainly is, and I don't think anybody debates that. And look, for Elyria, I think they're at a point in the season where they're looking at this as a rivalry game, a chance to play some spoiler. But on top of that as well, look for Midview. While things haven't gone well in conference play, they've played well enough to stay in that playoff picture. Division III, Region 10, there's still a shot to get in.
Yeah, they certainly have a lot to play for, and it's a competitive spot, so they're definitely going to have to try to keep up with other teams in that region, and it doesn't get any easier after this.
Well, let's take a look at our weather and field conditions tonight, brought to you by Lorain County Clerk of Courts Tom Orlando, a proud supporter of high school athletics. Another gorgeous evening. We've been so lucky with these throughout the course of the year. I feel like I need to find some wood to knock on here, but no excuses as far as the weather goes tonight.
Yeah, and fall is slowly but surely coming up here, and it's 62 degrees at the moment, and this might be the earliest sunset I have seen all October so far. 6:54 is when that is expected to go down. So we'll have these lights on pretty early.
Where was that? We were at Dan Reeser Stadium a few weeks ago at Elyria Catholic. Gorgeous facility, but that sun sets right in your face. It'll be awesome here tonight because you're right. When that sun goes down, the temperature's really going to dip, and it'll certainly feel like the fall. Captains in this one, we're at the 50-yard line just a few moments ago for the coin toss, which is brought to you by the Lorain County Visitors Bureau, celebrating 200 years together. That's the Lorain County Visitors Bureau. Midview won the toss. They elected to receive. The captains who are at the 50-yard line, they're brought to you by the North Coast Insurance Group. See Robert H. Garcia, your local Allstate agent in Avon. And the captains for Elyria, Ja'Cory Bradley, Kyrie Anderson, Antonio Pride, Jackson Godspeed as well. And for Midview, Marcus McMahon, Shea Williams, Braden Hamoki, and Leo Swarinsky as well. Well, coming up here in just a bit, we will have a chance to catch up with both head coaches in this one. And, you know, Max, both seem pretty positive going into this one despite what's gone on the last few weeks.
Yeah, they've seen some improvement, especially as we'll hear from Matt Wilson on the Pioneer side, just some finer things that they're working out. And as for Midview, the way that they continue to build on and try to improve the way they have for several years now, just as a program as a whole, not just as an individual team.
Of course, our conversations with the coaches are brought to you by Buckeye Community Bank. Today and tomorrow, your partner for growth, that's Buckeye Community Bank. We mentioned the coaches are coming your way here in just a moment. Let's take a look at tonight's officials, and they're brought to you by Stringer Engager, providing personal injury, family law, and workers' compensation cases. That's Stringer Engager. It's Kevin Selecki, your head referee. The umpire is Ronald Bate. Fred Ribelli is the linesman. Tim Ward, the line judge, and the back judge is Mike Barricchio. All right, let's step aside and take a quick timeout. When we come back, we will hear from both head coaches in the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. Kickoff's about 20 minutes away, live and free tonight on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Welcome into the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. And first up, we are going to catch up with Elyria head coach Matt Wilson. Coach Wilson, we appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time. Let's talk about some of the things that have gone well in your mind with this group as we get into Week 8. You know, certainly it gets to that point of the season. Not everybody's healthy, battling through some injuries. But, Coach, in your mind, what are some things that have gone well for the Pioneers this season?
I would say the biggest thing is our attitude. I feel like our guys are still bought in. They're still coming to work every day at practice, and they're playing very hard on Friday nights. We've had to overcome a lot of different lineups for us due to some injuries and things like that and kind of moving people around. But the kids are open and willing to take on new challenges, and they haven't stopped playing hard all year long. So I would say that's probably our biggest thing.
Seems like a lot of that will come from some senior leadership, guys leading by example, both on the field and off. Who are some of the guys in that group that come to mind for you?
We have a few guys that have done a really good job with that this year. Number one would be our quarterback, Antonio Pride. He's done a great job in terms of communicating with kids, trying to get everybody bought into the same things. He picks a lot of guys up and gets them here to practice on time. So he's done a great job. Kyrie Anderson is also a vocal leader for us. He's a kid that just comes to work every day and just does a great job for us on both sides of the ball. And he's been a kid that he's very passionate, and he's just trying to get guys bought into what we're doing. And Jackson's kind of the leader of our offensive defensive line group, Jackson Goodspeed. All three of those kids are team captains, and they've all done a great job so far this year.
Offensively, what are some areas of improvement that you've seen since day one?
You know, we've like I said, we've had to shuffle the deck a few different times, and that's kind of taken us out of kind of what we hoped to be at the beginning of the year. But what I'm starting to see some improvement in is just the technical stuff. Like we're doing a better job of running routes later in the year. We're doing a better job of kind of understanding spacing on the field. Our quarterback play, Antonio's improved, and he's doing some good things back there. So I would say our passing game is kind of the one thing that has kind of improved as the year has gone on.
And then on the other side of the ball, Coach, what kind of identity do you think you guys have developed throughout the course of the year? And we'll stick with the development aspect in this question as well. In what areas do you think you guys have come the furthest?
So the one thing that I will say about our defense is they play with a relentless energy. They never give up, and they play really, really hard on every snap. And that shows up, through gang tackling and pursuit to the football and things like that. So I think our kids, they want to be known as somebody that you have to fight to gain anything against them. And so they do a pretty good job of trying to be tough and trying to be kids who fly around and get to the football.
Well, of course, tonight, taking on the Midview Middies, a team that got out to a red-hot start. They've lost 4 in a row, so they're hungry for a win as well. This is a big rivalry game. Coach, what are some things that you've seen from the kids throughout the course of the week in practice that has you believing they are ready to go and they're very excited for tonight's game?
Just like I said, our kids have done a really nice job, really most of the year, of, like I said, we've had to shuffle the deck a few times. Now we've kind of got some guys back, and we're back healthy. And that's good. And so our kids have kind of bought into the game plan and kind of what we're trying to do on both sides of the ball. And, we're starting to get comfortable with some of these changes that have kind of took place for us. And so I like where where they're at mentally. And I think, again, at practice, they're still showing up every day and working hard.
And in what areas do you think the Middies are going to test you later on tonight?
So the Middies, what they present is they are solid in the front on both sides of the ball. I think they do a really nice job defensively of trying to control the line of scrimmage. Their kids are aggressive and they're downhill. They do a nice job of trying to take away team's running game. And I think they've done a really good job with that. Offensively, they have some similarities. Like when I watch them, I see a little bit of what we're trying to do with what they're trying to do. But their quarterback play has been solid. They have some receivers. They seem to catch everything that's thrown to them. So they do a really nice job with that as well. So, they're a solid team. I can see why they started off quick. I mean, we understand the difficulty in Southwest Conference play. That I'm sure they felt here these last couple of weeks as well, but it should be a nice matchup.
Well, Coach Wilson, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck against the Middies later on tonight.
Thank you so much, and thanks for covering our games and all of the county. You guys do a great job of promoting high school sports, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Coach. Much appreciated. That's Elyria head coach Matt Wilson joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. We'll step aside and take a quick timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network. Cruising right along here in our Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner, and we're catching up now with Jack Armstrong, head coach of the Midview Middies. Coach, we appreciate you giving us a few moments of your time as always. But let's talk about the way the season has gone for you guys over the first 7 weeks. A nice hot start to the season. You guys have faced some really good competition the last few weeks, though. Coach, what are some things that you really like about what you're seeing from your program?
Well, I just think that the kids continue to have fight. We faced adversity these last couple of weeks, and the kids embrace that. The coaching staff embraces that. The community embraces it. And we just want to continue to get better. And although the result is not the one we've wanted the last 4 weeks, I tell the boys something worse than a 4-game losing streak, a 5-game losing streak. And they bought into that, and they know that we're one day at a time and we got to win every day. And we're still firing off the football. We're still having the goal of being the most physical football team every Friday night. And we have a great group of seniors, and I give them all the credit in the world. They've bought into rebuilding the M, and they continue to have a good attitude, and they're hungry to move the program in the right direction, which they've done a great job of doing to this point.
When people look at you guys offensively, I think the first name that comes to mind is Marcus McMahon. But I know balance is something that you guys certainly want to achieve and have achieved this season. Can you talk about the success of McMahon and how his success kind of feeds off, the passing game as well, and how they kind of feed off each other?
Yeah, I think with Marcus, if you don't account for him, or if you don't prepare to add someone in the box, we're going to take advantage of that, because even if there's a missed block, Marcus is going to break that first tackle. And with that kind of puts off our defenses in binds, because they have to add someone else to the box. It opens up the passing game. I wouldn't say we're a run first or pass first offense. We're takes what the grass gives us. And Marcus kind of helps that situation out, because they have to choose who they're going to stop. And he sets the tone when it comes to the physicality mindset that we have. And I've said this before, and I know that he believes it and our boys believe it, but he is the one that I expect to kind of give the hit and never receive it, to set the tone for the entire team. And when we're going through our ups and downs, when he does that, it allows us to continue to have that confidence we need to run the football when we want to run the football.
Part of the ability and the confidence that you have at running the football not only depends on him, but of course the guys up front. Who are some of those guys up front that have come a long ways for you guys to set the tone of that running game?
Yeah, I got 2 returning starters at tackle that are seniors. I got Leo Sawinski and Xavier Young. I got 2 returning starters with Braden Wiedemeyer and Joey Brown at guard, and then I got a sophomore at center. And I tell the boys, I'm a line coach, so I got to give them loving, but you win with the line and you lose with the line. This year, especially with all the experience we have, and not only does Marcus do a great job, but with the experience we have on the offensive line, they make the calls right, and that's a great thing to have. Because in the past, for example, you would have to put a tag onto something if you get a look, and you put it more in the coach's hands. We don't have to do that this year, because the boys have the experience where they kind of handle it. I trust them. They know that I'm kind of giving them the keys to that, and if they focus on the fundamentals and the physical, it'll take them to the promised land. So great group of kids, and I expect a great result against Elyria.
Well, let's talk about the other side of the ball here, Coach. Defensively, what's the identity of this team?
The identity is to stop the run. The identity is to fly to the football. We call ourselves the Blue Swarm. The boys love it. And Braden Hamoki kind of drives that defense. He's our inside linebacker. He's the leader. He's been a captain for 2 years. He's a big part of what we are trying to do, and he kind of continues to keep everyone on the straight path when we go through these ups and downs. And we're young in the secondary. Our line's doing a great job. Xavier Padilla is someone that I can think of that's really taken that next step on the defensive line. Couldn't be more proud of him and the boys. And Demir Gray. We've moved people like Ian Regan around to do what's best for the team. And that's another great thing about this team is it's we before me football, and I couldn't be happier about that. And although we're on a 4-game losing streak, I think our defense is continuously taking the right steps. We just got to make sure that the big thing with our defense is we're giving up big plays. We eliminate those big plays. Our defense is playing it well, so that's something that we're striving to fix.
I know a year ago you had told me that you were really hoping that the success you guys are having at the varsity level would trickle down, and that would kind of show at the lower levels too, whether it be middle school, the youth programs. What kinds of numbers are you seeing turned out there at those levels?
Yeah, we're definitely going in the right direction. After that conversation, us and the team and the coaches kind of came up with a vision, and we called it Rebuild the M, and that's having 60+ on our 10 through 12, which is a good direction that we want to get to, especially with this size school. I mean, we're a D3 school playing bigger D2 and D1 schools in our conference. So we're kind of like the odd man out, and we embrace that. We like being the underdog. But with that, our goal is to get to 60, and our 7th, 8th, and 9th grade right now, if they all can continue to play, we'd be at like 90. So we're definitely going in the right direction. Our youth numbers are up. We have a great community. We have great superintendent. Everyone supports sports. And it's a little different than everywhere else because Friday nights are kind of what bring everyone together in the Midview community. So I've told the boys, I haven't seen the stadium this packed in a long time, and it's always packed, but I think that with seeing that in the stands, I'm just excited for the future for the Midview Middies.
Well, tonight, of course, I think a lot of people expect those stands to be packed. It's a rivalry game taking on the Elyria Pioneers, a program that's fallen on some tough times. But as you examine those guys on paper and on film, in what ways do you think they will test you tonight?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to get their best players the ball, their athletes. Off the top of my mind, my mind goes right to number 3 and number 1. And they're going to try to give us different looks to kind of put us in binds. But at the end of the day, I think that as long as we're the most physical football team, we're going to come out victorious. Coach Wilson does a great job, so we're going to have to coach our butts off too to put these kids in the best position to succeed.
Coach Armstrong, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck against Elyria tonight.
All right, thank you. Go Middies.
Thank you, Coach. Again, that's Midview head coach Jack Armstrong joining us here on the Buckeye Community Bank Coaches Corner. We'll step aside and take a timeout and come back with more after this on the Lorain County Sports Network.
Welcome back out to Midview High School here in Grafton. We have 3 weeks left of this high school football season here in Week 8. The Midview Middies are playing host to the Elyria Pioneers, and we're happy to have this one for you on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Andy Bolbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. The director of our ship is Edwin Vereen, El Capitan. We've got Sam Sovacool up on the roof. He's operating the camera for this one. We've got you locked into our pregame show brought to you by Stewart's TV and Appliance. Shop smart, shop local, shop Stewart's TV and Appliance in Elyria. Well, let's take a look at the keys to tonight's game, brought to you by Williams Brothers Builders, performing site work, concrete, and carpentry with their own forces. That's Williams Brothers Builders. And with that, I hand the baton off to my tag team partner, Max Drummond.
Well, starting with the hosting Midview Middies, as they are hosting a Pioneers team that last week they struggled on early downs to kind of contain the Amherst Comets, especially through the air. Now, obviously, we know Midview is more of a run-first team, but if they can find a few more of those shot plays to guys like Zachary Wallace and Brenton Newton down the field early on and kind of get a comfortable start and then rely on that run game as the game goes on, that would be ideal. Maybe catch Elyria off guard. And as for the Pioneers, it's been a tough showing on offense. They haven't been able to find as much balance as maybe they'd like, but one thing that Coach Matt Wilson alluded to in the pregame is he's liking what he's seeing from his receiving core more as the year has gone on, and they've got a few athletes out there, including the likes of Chris Rogers, who had a big touchdown on defense last week, but he's got to be an X factor in this game, as well as a few others that we'll name throughout the broadcast, but got to find a way to get those receivers involved, as they are probably the best athletes that Elyria has to offer.
We'll get to some of those names here in just a few moments when we take a look at the starting lineups. Before we get to that, though, pretty cool moment here before the game. Both the Elyria Marching Band and the Midview Marching Band combined forces to sing the national anthem. The national anthem brought to you by the United States Air Force. If you're interested in being a recruit, report to the U.S. Air Force office in Avon. That's the United States Air Force. And without further ado, let's take a look at the starting lineups. We mentioned that Midview won the toss. They elect to receive. Let's take a look at how they are aligned offensively. The receivers are number 3, Zach Wallace, a 5'11", 170-pound senior. Also at a receiver, number 1, Brennan Newton, a $190, 5'10". He's a junior. Also at receiver, they've got a couple of other guys that'll mix in there. Number 5, Ethan Stout. Number 4, Peyton Ansel. Along that defense, or that sits in that offensive front, left tackle number 58, Leo Swarinsky, 5'10", 260-pound senior. Left guard number 52, Joseph Brown, a senior, 6', 240. The center is Ty Zan, number 79, a sophomore, 6'2", 275. Right guard, Braden Wiedenmeyer, a senior, 6 feet tall, 225 pounds. The right tackle is Xavier Young, 6'5", 240, a senior. And the starting tight end, number 15, Braden Hamoki, 6 feet tall, 225. He is a senior as well. In the backfield, Shea Williams, the starting quarterback, senior, 5'11", a $195. And Marcus McMahon, number 2. He's the tailback. You've probably heard a lot about him already. He is the county's leader with 16 total touchdowns, 14 on the ground. He's a senior, 5'8", 190 pounds.
And the opposing defense looking to shut them down for the Pioneers, starting up front. Christian Velasquez, a 5'8" sophomore, as well as Parker Osborne manning the middle of that defensive line, and senior Xavier Cross wearing number 50. Then moving up to the linebackers, Kyrie Anderson, a senior, Ja'Cory Bradley, also a senior. That's going to be a trend here in the middle of this defense. Levi Springer wearing number 0, also a senior, and Elijah Hope, the lone junior, there in the linebacking core. And finally, Chris Rogers out at corner. Dolan Melendez, 5'8" senior. as well as Eris Malone over at the other safety spot, just a sophomore, and Aaron Ensign, a 5'7" junior.
Starting lineups brought to you by Gehring's Tavern. Post-game meals just taste better at Gehring's Tavern in Grafton. Not too far from where we are set up here tonight. I'm sure a lot of folks that are coming out to check this one out may make that a post-game stop.
Well, and they do have a extended happy hour after Midview home game, so I'm sure that's going to entice some people to make their way over.
Looking forward to this one here tonight. A rivalry game. You know, of course, these communities so close together. And I think when you look at Elyria's overall record, you know, at 0-7 overall, they're 0-4 in conference play. Midview, of course, comes in 3-4 altogether, 0-4 in the SWC. Both teams look at this as a winnable opportunity, and for Midview, a chance to stay alive in that playoff race. We mentioned that right now they're just on the outside looking in Division III, Region 10. For Elyria, it's going to take a lot of huge obstacles to overcome in order to get there, with the field being knocked down to 12 teams, of course. But for Elyria, a chance to surprise some people here, Max, the last few weeks.
Yeah, and to just continue to try to finish strong, continue to fight through this season. And, you know, you don't want to look ahead too far, but from our vantage point, this is a game where if they were going to be able to grab one here at the end of the season, they'd like to think it'd be this one in place right in front of them. So you got to take advantage of that while you got it for sure.
And I think every program would tell you, when you're trying to turn that corner, you have to start playing in games and turning some heads, even if you don't win. You've got to win some small battles that show everybody else you're getting close, you're on the cusp. And you know, maybe they felt a little bit of that last week, you know, when they scored 17 points, albeit in a loss against Amherst. You know, they were showing a little more fight, and I think they're looking for a rhythm offensively here. They've got some seniors on this team, and you feel for that group because they haven't won a whole lot these last few years. The last 3 seasons have been tumultuous, to put it mildly, right? I mean, a couple of years back, you know, the whole big coaching change when Coach Devlin Culver went back home to Youngstown, because when he was at Elyria, things were starting to look a little bit better. And then after that, Coach Brian Fox came in for a year, and this is Coach Wilson's second year. And for Midview, you know, under Coach Armstrong, they've played some pretty tough competition at the beginning of the year, trying to hang in the SWC, and well, the road doesn't get a whole lot easier these next couple of weeks.
And obviously it's a very high standard here at Midview that the past, they bring those kind of expectations, but they know it. They got to manage them, and they have to try to keep building the right way. You can't cut any corners, especially with what they've done in the past here, and they know that. And as for the Pioneers, like you said, a lot of seniors that are trying to take pride in create a first-time opportunity for their class.
Lex Brunner has it teed up at the 40-yard line for our opening kickoff, which is brought to you by Lorain County Community College. Kick off your future with LCCC. That's Lorain County Community College. High pop-up kick, angling toward the far sideline. It goes out of bounds. Here come the flags. A procedure penalty coming against Elyria.
The last thing you want to do is put your defense in a tougher spot. And now for Midview, you know, obviously we mentioned a bit there how they like to attack with the ground game. Going to be a little thinner in that spot tonight, but certainly gives them a chance to make a big play right away.
Man, props to this marching band for the Midview Middies. Playing the entrance to the bad guy, Razor Ramon. I don't think I've ever heard that before. Absolutely fantastic. Midview will take over at the 37-yard line. That's where the opening drive of this one will begin. Quarterback Shea Williams. We mentioned him going through the starting lineups. 5'11", 195, a senior. He's completed 55% of his passes this year, averaging 154 yards through the air. They'll send the man in motion. It's the tight end, Himoki. They give to McMahon. McMahon able to get around the edge on the near side. He's up to the 50-yard line, and he is tackled inside Elyria territory at the Pioneers' 46-yard line. Levi Springer caught up to him, but he got first down yardage and then some.
Yeah, nothing too complex there. They just know he's got a lot of burst in those quick steps, and he gets away very quickly from that first and second level.
Tough guy to contain, no doubt about that. Came into this game with 838 yards on the ground, averaging nearly 5.5 yards per carry. They'll give it to him again. The near side he goes. He is tackled at the 43-yard line. He ran right in to the waiting arms of Dolan Melendez, the safety, who came up to stop him after a gain of about 3 yards.
Yeah, talking about getting off of a block there of one of the offensive lineman for the Middies. It's not an easy task to do, and really saved that play from being a lot more damage to their defense.
Opening snap of each half is brought to you by Janasco Insurance, the protection that you need and the service you deserve. That's Janasco Insurance. Third play of this drive, they've run it with McMahon twice, play action fake. Williams in some trouble, and he gets sacked, taken down in the backfield by Parker Osborne right around the 47-yard line, and that's going to set up a 3rd and long scenario for the Middies.
And his first read for Williams appeared to be at the top of the screen. He was looking for Brennan Newton that time on a corner route. Didn't fully like the matchup there, so he tries to tuck it and come back to the left side of the field. And like you mentioned, Osborne just closing that off too quickly.
3rd down and 10, nose of the ball resting on the left hash at the 46. McMahon off the right hip of Shea Williams will send a man in motion. They'll give it to McMahon. Has room to run on the near side. Down the numbers past the 30 to the 25-yard line, and he's dragged down at the 18. A huge pickup on 3rd down and long. Dolan Melendez caught up to him, but not before. He got 2 yards inside the red zone. 1st and 10 for the Middies.
They'll go for a gain of 28 right there, and that's what's insane about this offense. 3rd and 10, and you're still able to turn and hand it off. And it also speaks to the athleticism of Shea Williams and teams respecting that. Omari Ford started to go that way, started to drift towards where Williams was going, and then just gives it off at the last second, and he's out of position.
They'll send Newton in motion, and they'll hand it off to Marcus McMahon again, and he gets dropped in the backfield at the 20-yard line. Just didn't have anywhere to go, and that's because Kyrie Anderson was right in his face to drop him for a loss of 3.
So the first drive, it may not be an indication for the entire game, but I was interested to see without their backup running back, Jace Wright, how often they would use McMahon, and so far he's getting a heavy dose.
Right out, it'll be Ian Regan to take his place whenever they decided to give Marcus McMahon a bit of a break. Ball spotted between the 20 and 21-yard lines. It'll be 2nd down and 13. They'll send Newton in motion again, and they'll hand it off to McMahon again. He goes straight up the middle, bounces off of one defender, and then he gets dragged down at the 17. Tried to take a defender with him. Looked like that was Elijah Hope, who was hanging on to his leg. Limits him to a gain of about 3, and make that 4. Picks up maybe 1 more than he lost in the previous play.
Well, it looked right away that the leading blocker there, Hamoki, had gotten blown up in the hole, and that was going to shut down the play. But as you referenced there, McMahon able to kind of power his way through and make this 3rd down a little more manageable.
3rd and 9 coming up. Williams will drop back, being pressured. Looking down the field, he's going to have to hang on to this one. He's dropped at the 20-yard line. Elijah Hope in on the stop again. He got to him near the 20-yard line. They lose a couple on that, and that'll bring up 4th down.
And both times that we've seen Midview try to drop back on this drive, it's been some pretty good pressure up front applied by the Pioneer defense, and an even better job in coverage there. It looked like Hamoki as well as Zachary Wallace were trying to break open there, but they just never found a gap in that coverage.
Christian Velasquez was in on that stop along with Elijah Hope, and they will keep the offense on the field. It's 4th, and they've got a long ways to go here. We'll call it 4th down and 12. Newton back to pass, fires left side. The pass is caught inside the 10-yard line, and it's Zachary Wallace who's knocked out of bounds. And he ends up about a yard short. He got inside the 10-yard line. He stepped out at the 9. He needed a couple more to keep that drive going, so they'll turn it over on downs.
And I was wondering, the way he turned upfield, it appeared like he may have picked it up, but it was a better job by Chris Rogers there to close out on that. He kept him in front of him, which obviously on 4th down, that's all you can ask for. And they prevent the touchdown on an opening drive and shut him down at the 9.
So great penetration, something that you notice from that front 7 for the Elyria Pioneers. And that's a group that does have a lot of upperclassmen. Xavier Cross, Parker Osborne up front, Kyrie Anderson, Ja'Cory Bradley, Levi Springer, Elijah Hope. Here come the Pioneer offense, led by quarterback Antonio Pride, a senior, 5'10", $180. Levi Springer will start the game as the tailback. They'll give it to him. He's able to get past the 10, tripped up along the numbers, works his way up to about the 12-yard line.
Well, he still somehow almost was able to stay on his feet and get through the 3 defenders that closed in on him in McMillan, Newton, and one more Middy. So the fact that he was able to get through that hole at all is impressive.
They've been trying to find a rhythm with their running game, and they've tried a lot of different bodies back there. We expect to see Kyrie Anderson and Levi Springer mix in there throughout the night. I think Quan Ward's also a name that will call a bit. But just trying to find that right mix, and again, try and find something in that running game that just hasn't been there the first 7 weeks of the season. Antonio Pride will give it up the middle again, and this time the hole closes very quickly. Springer is hitting the backfield at the 11-yard line.
And that's going to be by a guy, when we were the last time here, which was last season, we got to see the Middies twice. Sawyer McMillan was a name we called often right there. He did a good job keeping an eye on Antonio Pride, and once he realized he didn't have the ball, he closed and squeezed down the line very quickly for that tackle for loss.
Entered this game with a couple of fumble recoveries, 7 tackles for a loss. Third down coming up for the Elyria Pioneers. They'll fire left side. The pass falls incomplete. They were trying to get that to Ja'Cory Bradley in the flat, but the pass had a bit too much heat on it. And that'll bring up 4th down. And, you know, Max, they were trying to set up a bit of a screen there, and it seemed like they kind of rushed that a bit.
Yeah, Ja'Cory Bradley, he gained a little bit of depth in the backfield there, and it looked like Pride may have rifled that one in a little bit sooner than he was expecting, leading to the incompletion. And it's too bad for the Pioneers because Bradley is a great athlete and one of those receivers we were hinting at in the pregame, liking to see get their hands on the ball and in situations like that where they can just create after the catch.
They may run out of time here. There's 5 seconds left on this play clock. They're just getting set to punt this away. 2 seconds, 1 second. And I believe they burned a timeout to avoid the delay of game penalty. Timeouts throughout the night brought to you by Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran, securing and organizing real estate documents. That's Lorain County Recorder Mike Duran. We'll make this a quick one and keep it here because Elyria quickly got back onto the field just seeing they were out of time.
Well, and not only that, they only had 10 guys out there. Their punter was counting off and realized there was only 8 standing in front of him. And, you know, on punt coverage team, like, that could be very crucial, especially with a couple of the athletes that Midview has. So you're going to need all 10 guys pursuing that football.
Well, now they appear ready to rock and roll. R.J. Williams handles the punting for Elyria, a 6'5", 174-pound sophomore. Zachary Wallace, Brennan Newton, both back deep to receive this. So a 3-and-out on their opening series for the Pioneers. Snap will go back, and Williams will get this punt away. Low kick. It's retrieved at the 38-yard line. Zachary Wallace takes a pop, spins out of a tackle. It gets inside the 25-yard line. A helmet comes flying. So does a flag. Another flag as well. The play ended near the 24-yard line. But I have a feeling there could be a couple of extra yards tacked on to the end of this. We see what this laundry is all about.
So first up, I mean, Zachary Wallace, he just, as soon as he caught that line drive, he said, I'm going to be a battering ram and pick up whatever I can. It was a nice return, and looked like maybe at the end of that run, somebody ripped the helmet off. May not have just been incidental.
As you stated, our head referee, Kevin Selecki, confirms your suspicion. A personal foul face mask going against Elyria. And this will once again put them inside the red zone, brought to you by Steve Lawson of Russell Real Estate Services. Selling or buying soon? Visit superstevesells.com.
Well, with the Middy offense coming back out here, this is prime territory for a guy like Marcus McMahon, who racked up 50 yards in that first drive with only around 12 or 13 to go. Got to imagine all the carries and opportunities might go to him here.
This will begin at the Elyria 12-yard line. Shea Williams in the shotgun. He'll hand it off to McMahon. McMahon gets around the edge on the left side. He's inside the 5-yard line and taken down near the 2. It was Levi Springer who got to him again. He got very close to first down yardage. I think he may have been a hair shy. They spot him down near the 3, so it'll be 2nd down and 1.
And that's the exact same sweep kind of play that their off-tackle run that they used to start last drive, and they're really just testing those linebackers right now to see how well they're flowing and following McMahon, and so far he's been able to have the upper hand.
They'll set up shop on the near side of the left hash. 2nd and 1 at the 3. It's a keeper. Williams takes it straight up the middle. He gets hit at the 1-yard line, and he'll be short of the goal line, but he has enough to move the sticks.
It's plays like that that continue to keep teams honest, and especially Elyria in this case, where you got to account for him as an extra ball carrier.
And they say he went down at the 2-yard line, not the 1. Either way, it's still a first down, making it 1st and goal. Midview Middies awfully close to the goal line. They'll give to McMahon, and he takes it across. Touchdown, Middies. A 2-yard touchdown rush for Marcus McMahon. Make it 15 trips to the end zone on the ground this season. And the Middies fire first blood. They're on top of Elyria 6-0 with 5:57 to play in the first quarter.
And despite his size at just 5'8", 190, I mean, even at the goal line, he's such a reliable option there. And got to give some credit to Sawyer McMillan, as Hamoki is going to be the main tight end we see tonight. But McMillan, playing on mainly defense right there, did a wham block of sorts and took on one of the bigger guys on the field, Jackson Goodspeed, for Elyria. Paved the way right there for the McMahon touchdown.
Caden Vanya on for the extra point. It's got plenty of distance, and it's good. 7-0 Midview with just inside of 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. A 2-yard touchdown rush from Marcus McMahon makes it 7-0 in favor of the Midview Middies. They're on top of the Elyria Pioneers with 5 minutes and 57 seconds left in this first quarter clock. Glad to have this one for you on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. Your local, reliable, trusted lender is Legacy Home Finance. As always, bringing this one to you live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. If you call yourself a fan of Lorain County High School sports, you need to smash that subscribe button, because while we're with you the next few weeks here for the high school football season with 2 video streams, we're back at it again in December when you hear the sneakers squeaking across those high school gymnasiums all across the area as well, with a video stream every single week. The ensuing kickoff will soar over the head of Melendez, and that will go out of bounds into the end zone, so it'll be a touchback.
Now, coming back out for their second drive, we saw Elyria try to establish a little bit of that ground game, and you kind of talked about it for a moment, just expanding on them trying to find a rhythm with it. It's been difficult because there's been so many different guys trying to tote the rock, and it just, when you aren't familiar with your running back and the way they like to cut, or maybe the way they attack the line, whether they like to bounce it outside more often than not. I mean, the quarterback has been the leading rusher for this team, so if they can find a consistency with who they'll line up back there, it may go a long way in helping this big offensive line.
They'll start this drive at their own 20-yard line. Last time they had it, they took over at their own 9 after forcing Midview to turn the ball over on downs. Pride will drop back, facing some heat. He's going to roll out and try and stretch this toward the far side. Looking down the field, he'll fire it out of bounds. Well, he was trying to avoid Sawyer McMillan amongst many others. But with McMillan chasing him down toward the numbers on that far side, he saw that there was no way he was getting around the corner, and he just chucked it out of bounds.
Well, that's why he plays a little tight end on offense, right? I mean, that speed was impressive in the open field to keep up with Pride there as long as he did.
You talked about, last year, the 2 games we called here, the opener against Midview last year, then, of course, the thriller that they played here against Amherst. McMillan was a name we said a ton a year ago, and he was only a sophomore last year. Turned in a pretty nice junior campaign to this point.
That's right.
Pride back to pass again. Throws down the middle, has a man open, making a diving catch right around the 49-yard line for a first down. Tiger McCollum Made a real nice catch. They'll spot him down at the 48. A big pitching catch for the Pioneers.
An outstanding spot on that football right down the seams there. As you're going to see, rifles it in between two Middie defenders. Incredible throw by Antonio Pride that time.
Yeah, dart from Pride, no doubt about that. And a great catch on the other end by McCollum, a senior, 5'8", $150. His 17th grab of the season. First down at 10 now for the Pioneers. They'll send the man in motion. It's Bradley. Pride immediately rolls out to the near side. Throws down the field, has a man open. He gets it to Ja'Cory Bradley, and he's tackled at the 35-yard line. Braden Arnold caught up to him, but not until he picked up a real big chunk of yardage. And now, Max, it looks like this Pioneer offense has picked up some steam.
And obviously the deep route we just saw, you'll take those all day, but those are the kind of throws we were kind of expecting coming in, to see these athletes get the ball, maybe catch it at or around the line of scrimmage, and then use their creativity and athleticism to make more yards after the catch.
Pride working with 4 receivers. He's got 3 lined up far side to the left, and he's got Christian Rogers lined up at the bottom of your screen. They'll fire left side, caught by Bradley in the flat. He's able to get out of one tackle, works his way up to about the 31-yard line. 4-yard gain on first down. And, Max, that's a play they tried earlier in this first quarter, but they just couldn't get on the same page, and I think that's because there was a lot of pressure in the face of Antonio Pride.
Yeah, and that time or a couple times now, they've seen that they've been playing off on the slot receivers, giving them a little bit of a cushion. So that's the second time they've tried to attack it, and this time it pays off.
2 receivers on each side now in this second down and 6 scenario for Elyria. Antonio Pride looks to his right, throws to his right, caught by Asa Brown. Brown makes the catch, and he's dropped at the 26-yard line. He's close from here. Looks like he might be a little bit short, bringing up third down.
And that's what has some excitement there for this receiving core. There's a lot of experience. Majority of the guys' names we're going to call catching these passes are seniors, so they've had a bit of time on the Friday Night Lights to kind of find those zones and sit down in between them, and that's a good example of it for Brown right there, who did come into the game with 9 catches on the season.
4 straight completions for Antonio Pride on this drive. It's third down and 1. They'll send this snap back from the 26 of Midview. They hand it off to Springer. Springer fights for first down yardage. He's got it and then some, as he's able to grind his way up to about the 22.
And it's great when you're able to find the running game when nobody's expecting it. But right there on third and very short, not only do you get it, but you get a few more yards to keep this drive alive.
Real nice drive put together by the Pioneers here. It began back at their own 20, coming up on the 7th play of it. They're trailing 7-0 with just inside of 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Pride fires left side, looking for Ja'Cory Bradley. He makes the catch, and he's in for the touchdown. A 22-yard touchdown strike from Antonio Pride to Ja'Cory Bradley. And the Pioneers are an extra point away from tying this up.
And you're going to see the confidence that Antonio Pride has in his receiver Bradley that time. As soon as he makes that cut to move outside to his left, neither the DB or Bradley are looking back for the ball yet. Antonio Pride lets it go, puts it right at the goal line, and Bradley's able to run right under it.
Lex Brunner handles the kicking duties for the Pioneers. 4 for 5 in point after attempts this season. Also has a couple of field goals this year. 2 for 2 with a long of 40 yards.
Could have used some of that last week.
They'll send the snap back. Rogers will get the hold down. The extra point is on the way, and we've got whistles, we've got flags, and somebody moved early for Elyria. So they'll have to run this one back.
You get to see a little bit more of the leg in action here. Prove some of those longer field goals he's hit.
Great touch on that pass. Going back to the strike to Ja'Cory Bradley. He got just enough room, just enough separation on his defender, and Antonio Pride put that in a perfect spot.
What I also loved about it, it's a more refined skill, but he didn't put his hands up until the ball was essentially right there. Some guys, they may put their hands up early, it'll either slow them down or alert the defender, and he didn't do it that time.
Take 2 on this point after attempt. Rogers will get the hold on. Extra point is on the way, and it is no good. Yanked it a bit to the left. So it's 7-6. Elyria trailing by 1 to the Midview Middies with 2:48 left in the first quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Moments ago, the Elyria Pioneers finished a 7-play, 80-yard drive on a 22-yard touchdown pass from Antonio Pride to Ja'Cory Bradley. Extra point no good, so they are down 7-6. With the first quarter clock reading 2:48. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. El Capitan, our director, Edwin Vereen, and Sam Sovacool operating the camera tonight. What a drive by the Pioneers.
Yeah, great way to respond right there, especially after you give the ball back to Midview pretty deep in your own territory, so it's a heck of a response by that Pioneer offense.
Brunner has it teed up at the 40-yard line. Brennan Newton, Marcus McMahon, both back to receive this kick. A high kick, end over end, and it'll be retrieved by Parker Ansel at about the 16-yard line, and he'll take this past the 30 up to about the 32-yard line. It's Peyton Ansel. My apologies. Peyton Ansel takes it up to about the 32, maybe the 33, still waiting on the official spot here. But this Midi offense will go to work again. This is their third series, and so far they've been able to move the ball pretty well.
Yeah, and it's pretty much all been through their ground game and Marcus McMahon, which we expected a bit of, but interested to see if Shea Williams tries to get a little more involved. Obviously, he's got their attention, so he may not have to, but they're going to be looking for somebody to spell McMahon every once in a while this evening.
Shea Williams has provided some balance in this offense. They'll send McMahon in motion to the right. Williams fires this one across the middle, and it's caught by Newton. He's got room to run down the near sideline, tackled inside Elyria territory at the Pioneers' 45. Levi Springer's been a very busy man tonight, not only toting the rock offensively for the Pioneers, but he's been involved in one tackle after another.
And that's a sign of a guy who just loves football, just staying involved wherever you're needed. And just a great job there setting up what was basically a double screen. You fake it out to McMahon. He's going to attract a lot of eyes, and then you bring the offensive line just upfield, led the way.
This pass is completed to Wallace on the near side, and he's taken down near the 32-yard line. They get another first down, and so far they look pretty crisp in their passing game, Max.
Yeah, and it's almost feels like an extension of the run game, and we were wondering, okay, who might step in as a backup role for McMahon so he doesn't have to take as many hits. Right now, it's just these little screens, and they're letting their tight ends and guys get involved in blocking. It's working a lot like a run play.
Homoki, the tight end, goes in motion. They'll give it to McMahon. McMahon able to turn the corner left side until Springer takes him to the turf near the 23.
Man, he continues to be active in that battle right there for the tackle. It's going to be fun to watch as the night goes on.
And they're not afraid to run that play to the short side of the field. They've done that a few times.
Yeah, you would imagine you'd want the wide side of the field to work with, but McMahon's got such quick feet and quick cuts. It's working right now.
Williams fires right side. The pass is caught out in the flat and taken down near the 21-yard line after picking up first down yardage for the Middies is Gage Weaver.
Not a name we expect to call too often, but he just adds another weapon to keep an eye on and moves the change right there.
We talked about how when you talk about this offense, you're going to mention Marcus McMahon because of the things that he's done this year. Second leading rusher in the conference, but again, he's got more trips to the end zone than anybody else. Shea Williams has provided some balance, though, in that passing attack, averaging a little over 50 yards per game through the year. They'll send Newton in motion. We've got whistles. A flag comes flying in from the near side, and somebody either moved early or lined up incorrectly for the Middies.
And that's one thing we really haven't seen tonight so far for Midview is being behind schedule or kind of being uncomfortable in the spot they're in. A lot of their drives have been pretty solid field position, so we'll see how they respond here on 1st and 15.
First down and 15 with this first quarter clock in motion. Inside of 1 minute left on it. It's 7-6. Midview with the advantage. Inside Elyria territory again. From the Pioneers 26. Williams fires across the middle. Caught by the tight end Homoki. And Homoki is tackled at the 14-yard line. So they pick up all that they lost and then some. A pretty simple play, quick hitter across the middle to the tight end.
Yeah, for being such a physical player on defense, I mean, good job there avoiding anybody where he sat down at to catch that pass and turns it upfield for a little bit more.
They work him into this passing game on occasion, not crazy involved in it. That was just his 4th catch of the season. Second down and about 4 coming up. They send Newton in motion toward the far side. They'll hand it off to him. He's able to turn the corner, and he's cut down along the numbers inside the 10-yard line, and they will move the sticks again, setting up first down and goal.
And a strong way to end the quarter and get some momentum going into the second.
0-0 is on the clock at the end of 1. Good one brewing here in a rivalry matchup between Midview and Elyria. Middies lead the Pioneers 7-6 after the first quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Just about to begin the second quarter of action where it'll be first down and goal for the Middies at the Elyria 9-yard line. 7-6, Middies in the driver's seat. Shea Williams in the shotgun will hand off to Marcus McMahon. McMahon breaks one tackle, spins out of another, and he's tackled close to the 6-yard line. A long ways to go to pick up 3 yards. He broke a couple of big tackles on the way there, Max.
Put on quite a display that time and pulled out a couple different moves to make guys miss up to the 5.
And unfortunately, there is an injured Pioneer down in the field at the 15-yard line. So the Elyria training staff will come out there to check out the injured player. Gives us a chance to tell you that coming up at the half, we have our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. We'll take a look at the scoring recap, some first half stats, and also look at the area scoreboard as well. And oh yeah, we get to rate the dog, courtesy of our friend Brian Victor of Howard Hanna Realty. Rate the dog is something I miss during basketball season, man. I don't want the fall to go by too quickly. Inevitably, it feels like it's the one season that's over lightning quick up in these parts.
Yeah, I mean, 1 minute, you're sweating your tail off trying to get the sun out of your eyes, and out of nowhere, you're grabbing the hoodies, the jeans, and I think I even heard Sam on the cam mention he brought a winter hat tonight.
He did, and recently hired baseball coach here for Midview, Ryan Fairbairn, who, of course, had a marvelous professional career, playing not only in the professional ranks here in the States, making it all the way to the big leagues and playing independent ball as well, also played overseas. Of course, he'll be taking over the Midview baseball program. I saw him earlier today with the winter hat on as well. And the injured player being helped off the field is the defensive end, Christian Velasquez.
And not great sign for Elyria. Up front, he's their leading tackler. They do have a couple upperclassmen along that defensive line beside him, but obviously an impact player there, and hate to see him go down.
So it'll be 2nd down and goal with the nose of the ball resting at the 5-yard line. This would seem like prime Marcus McMahon territory, but again, they've shown the ability to spread the wealth on this particular drive. They've caught some rhythm in their passing game. Play clock was at 25. Our head referee, Kevin Selecki, wanted it up to 40. Everybody's where they need to be and want to be. And they'll give this one to McMahon again. McMahon gets around the corner right side and takes it in for the touchdown. 6-yard touchdown rush for Marcus McMahon, his 2nd trip to pay dirt tonight. And that'll make it 13-6 in favor of the Middies.
And that's just how effective he is as a runner. I mean, as you'll see on the replay there, Levi Springer had a chance to meet him right in the hole, and somehow he bounces around him and extends this Midview lead.
It'll be Christopher Payne coming on for the extra point. He handles the kickoffs. A lot of times the place kicking duties placed on the leg of Caden Vanya, but they give Payne a chance here. He splits the uprights to make it 14-6. That's where we stand here in the 2nd quarter with 11:31 left before the half on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week on the Lorain County Sports Network. Elyria went 80 yards on 7 plays to find the end zone, and Midview responds immediately, putting a nice 8-play, 67-yard drive together, and they finish it on a 5-yard touchdown rush from Marcus McMahon. His 2nd trip to the end zone tonight. It's 14-6. Midview with the advantage. Not quite 30 seconds in to this 2nd quarter. Christopher Payne, 6'1", 190-pound senior, will tee it up at the 40-yard line and get set to kick it back to the Pioneers. They had a real nice offensive series the last time we saw them out there. A nice high kick retrieved at about the 11-yard line, taken up to the 20, and finally driven down near the 26-yard line.
So just like last drive, they get to start beyond their own 20-yard line, and went a long way in helping them set up what was a great drive last time out, where Antonio Pride went 5 for 5 after missing his only pass attempt on the first one. So got to imagine they'll go back to more of that here. And they got a few different guys involved, but obviously Ja'Cory Bradley was the main threat. Midview's got to find a way to stop.
They'll place the ball at the 27. That's where this drive will begin for Elyria. Their last drive began at the 20-yard line. And again, they caught fire with that passing attack. Pride will grab the snap they give to Springer. Springer room to run up the middle, and he's able to take it up close to the 30-yard line.
Well, and right now, even though they haven't shown a great ability to run it so far, Midview is respecting it a bit as they've got all 3 linebackers up in the box with that defensive line. Not sure how long you can get away with that for. As you can see on the bottom of your screen, you got 3 Elyria Pioneer receivers, only 2 DBs really in the area.
Pride will take the snap. He's going to step up, has room to run, gets to the 35-yard line. He's corralled by a couple of middies near the 36. So Pride a little short of first down yardage, but he sets up a third in very short scenario.
We touched on it a bit last drive when they were in a situation like this. It's a lot harder when Midview knows likely what you want to do. They were able to overcome that last time. We'll see if they can do that once again here and continue to move the chains.
Got a little less than a yard to gain here on 3rd down. They'll give to Springer. Springer pushes his way up to the 39-yard line. He's got more than enough to move the sticks.
And Victor Padilla, he was frozen just enough. there checking on Antonio Pride, make sure he wasn't pulling the ball out, and that bought his running back Springer just enough time to get the first down.
On that last drive, they ran the ball just a few times. Again, did most of their damage through the air. But the rushing attack did just enough to keep the Middies honest. First down and 10 for the Pioneers. Pride scrambling. He'll run it again, gets tripped up, but he picks up a couple of yards, getting to the 42-yard line. Sawyer McMillan tripped him up to prevent that from being a much bigger gain. Max, if he doesn't get his shoe tops there, he's probably still going.
Yeah, he might be going along that sideline because right now, Midview's using a lot of man coverage, and because of that, Pride is seeing some open lanes and doing what he can to try to gash him. He's been able to do it twice so far on this drive.
4 receivers at his disposal again. Springer lined up in the backfield with him. Pride feeds Springer again. He spins off a tackle, still keeps his feet moving, and he's able to push his way up to maybe the 44. He gets a couple on that. And it's a manageable scenario here at 3rd and 5.
Yeah, we've talked a few times about how obviously Marcus McMahon, he's put on some moves right there. We get to see it from Springer. As it appeared, Jerry Stewart on that defensive line had him initially, but he spun out of that tackle and was able to get a couple out of it.
And unfortunately, another Pioneer going down on the play. And we'll go ahead and take this injury timeout as well. 14-6, Elyria trailing Midview with 8:48 to play in the second quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. The injured Pioneer has been helped off the field. Braden Schleimer walked off to that far sideline, and we'll get back to action here. Big down coming up for the Pioneers. It'll be 3rd down and 5 to go from their own 44-yard line. Antonio Pride fires right side. The pass is caught right around the 49-yard line. That's first down yardage for the Pioneers, but we do have a flag back around the 38-yard line. Another one came in really late, a couple of seconds after that play had concluded.
Well, I was just about to commend Kyrie Anderson, the running back, for the block he laid during the while he was in the pocket for his quarterback, and at the end. I mean, that was a little close to the whistle, so he laid 2 big hits, and yeah, the one is going to be a legal chop.
So a personal foul going against Elyria, and that's a tough one for the Pioneers to take because they would have indeed had a first down and been inside Midview territory. But now this is going to march them back quite a ways and make this 3rd down scenario very, very tough.
Yeah, and unfortunately for that coaching staff, I mean, it was an aggressive mistake. You know, it was him applying effort there. I mean, he had to lay a block on Sawyer McMillan somehow, and unfortunately just went a little too low that time.
Well, there were multiple fouls on the play. An illegal chop block and the personal foul penalties. This is going to put the ball all the way back at the 15-yard line.
And I mean, we've seen this passing game be effective But in a situation like this, I mean, you can only do so much.
It's third down at about 34. Antonio Pride with pressure in his face, fires down the middle. The pass is caught by Ja'Cory Bradley. He's taken down at about the 37. They picked up a huge chunk of yardage, but nowhere near enough for a first down.
Well, and you'll see right there why the previous play, Sawyer McMillan had to be chopped, because he came in so quickly that he hit Pride as he let that one go. Still somehow able to get that pass complete to Bradley, though, and take a little pressure off their punter here.
Fourth down and 11. And you're seeing some positive things here from this Elyria offense. I know the numbers don't look great or didn't look great going into this game, but they've looked a lot better with that passing attack.
Well, and I think that's what serves them so well, having so many seniors out there, as even if it's been a tough go of it so far, they have so much experience and they've been able to see a lot of different situations throughout their careers.
Play clock was all the way down to 1. Elyria needed some extra time to discuss this, so they'll do just that as they huddle up on the far sideline. Want to remind you that coming up at the end of the game tonight, you should be dialed in to WOBL and WDLW for the Scoreboard Show, the Spitzer Auto World and Amherst Studio Scoreboard Show with Johnny G, David Q, John Guzik, and Paul Williams as they update you on the playoff scenarios as we get closer and closer to the end of the season. They'll give you the final scores and then some, talking to the game-winning coaches and players in the area as well. So make sure you're dialed into that. And they also do a nice Facebook live stream of that as well. If you're really interested in seeing what John Guzik looks like.
Well, and not only do they give you final scores, I mean, last week they were going to around 10:20, 10:30, partly because of us giving live updates.
Yes.
And also North Ridgeville, Berea Mid-Park played an amazing game. So, I mean, you never know what you're going to find when you get out there and what to keep track of.
R.J. Williams ready to punt this away. He'll get this one off near the 29. A low kick. It'll be retrieved by Zachary Wallace at the 29. Turning the corner on the near side. He's out in open space. Makes a nice cut inside. Wallace off to the races. 20, 15, 10, 5, and into the end zone. Touchdown, Middies! A 70-yard punt return for a touchdown, but we do have some laundry on the field back around the 37-yard line.
And with how early that flag was thrown, I don't even know if Wallace had caught the ball yet. So that's going to make it even more painful for Midview's side to deal with.
So we'll let the officials sort through this and figure out where they're going to spot the ball. It was a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown from Zachary Wallace, but this flag going against the Middies. And the celebration will come to a grinding halt.
And this is a fan base and team that's used to some explosive plays this year. So they would have loved to have had another one, and especially in the special teams phase, as those feel more rare and rare as the years go on.
So let's see where they spot this. And the officials will put the ball down at the 24-yard line. A painful penalty, no doubt. 7:12 left in the second quarter. And now the Middies will have a long ways to go, beginning this drive at their own 24.
Well, and they'll be without Zachary Wallace to start the drive because he's probably still catching his breath a bit from that. So Ethan Stout looks like he's going to fill at the top of the screen, at least for now.
They've got two lined up in the backfield. They'll send a man in motion. It's Ian Regan. They fire to him in the flat. The pass falls incomplete. Well, he led him a bit too far there. Regan trying to make that catch. And, I mean, even if he had hung on to that, Christian Rogers was waiting right there to greet him.
And that's the first pass we've seen a little bit haywire tonight from Williams. And but it's not the first time from either side that we've seen a little bit of trouble trying to set up these quick flare screens out into the flats.
Second down and 10 for the Middies. Wallace comes back into the game, getting a quick breather after going to the house 70 yards, only to have it called back. Williams fires across the middle. The pass is caught past the 30-yard line, And it's taken up to about the 34. That's close to first down yardage. I think they've got just enough. And indeed they do. It'll be first down and 10 for Midview.
So we talked a little bit about the speed when Soren McMillan was on defense and chasing down Antonio Pride right there. He sits down perfectly inside that zone. And because he turned around on his cut so quickly, nobody from Elyria was able to get to him until after he moves the chains.
Williams looking left, throws left, pass is caught along the far side and driven down past the 40 to about the 42-yard line is Ethan Stout. It's quick hitters in this passing game. Seem to be working for Midview.
And the fifth different Middie to already catch a pass from Shea Williams tonight. So he talked about earlier perfectly encapsulated, spreading the wealth.
Williams grabs the snap and he hands it off to McMahon. Room to run up the middle. He's taken down at the 49, picking up another fresh set of downs for the Middies. Dolan Melendez, senior safety, able to bring him to the turf after he picked up a pretty big chunk.
It was a slightly slow developing play as he was waiting on both a guard and a tight end to get out in front of him and lead the way, but the patience paid off.
Midview gets to the line pretty quickly. They seem like they're ready, and that's really kind of kept this Elyria defense on its heels.
I was going to say, it was the multiple play calling, the variety that's really hurting them.
McMahon will get the carry again. He's punishing defenders on his way past the 45-yard line, still on his feet, and they finally blow the play dead at the 43. It just didn't seem like there was a whole lot there initially, but then he made room as he worked his way up for about a 7-yard gain.
Those legs refuse to stop, and I mean, when you're that short, it just the low, the low center of gravity, it's increased by that much.
It's taking your voice away. That's how powerful it is.
Shocked me.
Second down and about 4. Shea Williams will send Newton in motion. They'll hand it off to him, trying to get around the corner, and he gets blasted on the far side at the 39-yard line. We do have a flag close to the area where he was trying to get around the edge.
Yeah, what a collision. Dolan Melendez. I mean, I feel like we're calling his name a lot along with Levi Springer. They're flying from sideline to sideline.
So it'll be a hold on the Middies. Again, where that was thrown, that's kind of what we figured was happening. It's a couple of big penalties against Midview on this particular drive. Again, in case you're just tuning in, it was a 70-yard punt return for a touchdown from Zachary Wallace, but it was called back because of a hold.
Yeah, before that, it had been a relatively clean game so far, whereas Elyria had kind of been struggling in that component, and now both sides are getting bit by the penalty bug a little bit.
Second quarter clock continuing to tick inside of 5 minutes. Second and long coming up for Midview. They have the ball inside their own territory now at their own 47-yard line. Williams drops back, time to throw. Fires this one down the right side, and it's knocked away, incomplete. He was looking for Zachary Wallace, but Christian Rogers had the denial to get just enough of that one to redirect the pass.
Yeah, he was there with him step for step. And it wasn't until the end of the route that Wallace had a chance to open up to the ball, and by then he just kind of misjudged it.
Well, they took a shot there on second and long, and now they're staring down the barrel of third down at about 14.
And it's an offense because of McMahon. They're typically used to being in third and short to even get to third down, so excited to see how they respond.
Williams will drop back, has time, throws near side, leaping catch is made along the sideline by Wallace. They'll mark him down at the 42, so he's shy of the sticks. But now you're in a spot, Max, where you could take that gamble because it's going to be fourth down at about 3.
Yeah, and he had a couple options there. It seemed like Brennan Newton might have been open underneath, but this way they got a few more yards out of it. And right now they're forcing Elyria to try to cover this whole field.
So they will keep the offense on the field here on fourth down and 3. Williams has McMahon off his left hip. Takes the snap. Throws across the middle. Caught by Wallace. Breaks the tackle. He's got room to run down the near sideline to the 10. And he's dragged out of bounds. Right around the 7-yard line. First down, Middies.
That was great recognition by Shea Williams, because blitzing off of the edge that time, I believe it was Elijah Hope, and he throws right into the slant where that blitz came from. And just a great job there after the catch.
First and goal for Midview. The 4th down gamble pays off. And they can smell pay dirt again. First and goal at the 7. They give to McMahon. McMahon gets around the edge on the left side, lowers his shoulder, and he's tackled at the 2-yard line.
And for a lot of this first half, we've seen those sweeps kind of go to the short side of the field right there. They try to let McMahon use every bit of that wide side of the field and just not able to get there. But second and goal, pretty close now.
Inside of 4 minutes to play in the second quarter. Midview with a 14-6 lead. Set up second down and goal at the 2. This will be the 11th play of the drive, although they're in no hurry to run a play here. Play clock's already down to 5, and they're going to burn a timeout here momentarily. And timeout has been called by Midview head coach Jack Armstrong. We'll take this timeout as well. 14-6, Midview leads Elyria with 3:33 to go in the second. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Coming out of the Midview timeout, it'll be second down and goal for the Middies at the Elyria 2-yard line. Marcus McMahon has made his way into the end zone twice so far tonight. And they are oh so close to making it a third trip to pay dirt. Direct snap goes to Brennan Newton. Newton plunges his way forward, and he gets awfully close to the goal line, but he is knocked down at the 1.
That's an interesting wrinkle right there. They try to throw in near the goal line, and you almost wouldn't expect it with this Midview team because of how good of an athlete Shea Williams is.
It's the second time they've had Newton take the snap. They did that once earlier in this game, and they're going to use the same personnel here. Newton waiting on that shotgun snap. He gets it. Direct snap to him. Takes it straight up the gut and into the end zone. Touchdown. A 1-yard touchdown plunge from Brennan Newton, and that makes it 20-6 Midview.
And the end of that drive right there just showed a bit of the physicality that Midview has and the mean streak of the guys up front. And I'm sure as the game goes on, they'll continue to lean on that.
It took a lot of time off the clock there as well, scoring with just inside of 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. Here comes Christopher Payne. Try and make it 21-7. Wallace puts the hold down. Extra point is on the way, and Payne puts it through. Midview leads Elyria 21-6 with 2:57 to play in the second quarter. It's live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Midview used a dozen plays to go 76 yards in their last drive. A 1-yard touchdown rush from Brennan Newton to make it 21-6. Glad to have you with us tonight on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week on the Lorain County Sports Network. Midview Middies trying to snap a 4-game slide. Elyria looking for win number 1 this season. Christopher Payne will kick this away. A high end-over-end kick. It's retrieved right around the 14-yard line by Christian Rogers. Rogers will take it up to about the 31 where he is corralled. Christian Rogers keeps his feet moving, though, and the pile is still shifting toward the numbers on the near side, and they finally blow this dead at the 40-yard line. Well, normally, it's kind of like a cartoon fight, right, where the smoke goes up in the air. Usually it doesn't shift left or right, and that thing actually came this direction an extra 6 yards.
Yeah, just incredible fight there to keep that going. I mean, unfortunately, you're still well over 2 minutes to go in this half, so it doesn't really hurt them there. Just gaining whatever you can, and now you leave it up to this passing game.
Christian Rogers with a nice return. It's a really good fight at the end of that. An empty backfield now for Antonio Pride. 5 receivers at his disposal. He drops back. He rolls out near side left, pointing down the field. He's going to run, and he's run out of bounds by Sawyer McMillan at the 45-yard line.
Normally you don't see McMillan lose contain like that, but it looked like he was in a pretty good grudge match up front there with the offensive line.
Looked like he kind of got turned around, and the savvy Antonio Pride saw that. The second he saw that he had gotten turned around, he knew that was his opportunity. If nobody was open down the field, he had to make that split-second decision to pick up a handful of yards and stop the clock at that.
Mm-hmm.
Same formation here with 5 receivers. Pressure coming. Pride gets away from it, takes it across the 50-yard line. He's off to the races. He's able to zigzag his way past the 35, and he's finally tackled at the 30-yard line. A 25-yard rush for Antonio Pride.
And that almost seemed like a design draw. I didn't see many receivers continuing routes past a couple yards, and unfortunately for Midview, they ran a blitz right into that, and it worked out perfectly for the Pioneers.
You could see the heat. Braden Himoki was charging in from the right side of the formation, and Antonio Pride able to elude that and then some and pick up 25 big yards. First down and 10 now for Elyria. Pride will drop back, being pressured, and he lost the ball. It's on the turf. It's scooped up at the 40-yard line. The first turnover of the game is a huge one. Antonio Pride looked like he was trying to get rid of it, lost the ball in the process, and the Middies jump on the loose ball at the 41-yard line.
It definitely didn't look like he was in a throwing motion. I mean, it looked like he was starting to, that's what he wanted to do, but the ball had slipped out by the time he was corralled right there, and just a good job spinning him to the ground by Braden Arnold.
So now Midview has it at the 41-yard line, their own 41. And there's still a $1:52 left before halftime. And with the way they've been able to get so many different bodies involved in this passing attack, Max, it makes them a bit more complex, tougher to predict, and they can take some shots here with a little less than 2 minutes. Williams with time. Rolling out to his left, he'll run. Takes it to the far sideline. He slides down near the 50-yard line, a 9-yard gain.
And someone watching may ask, why did he run straight out of bounds? But that's because Amari Ford really closed in a lot quicker than I think he was expecting, so he had to stay in bounds there.
Second down and 1. We've got whistles. Not quite sure why. Everybody looked like they were ready. Clock is stopped at a $1:30 because our head referee, Kevin Selecki, mentioned he wanted the clock stopped. And now he's coming to the Midview sideline. And I don't know if he wants more time taken off or he wants them to add time. He wants to add more time. He said put 1:41 on the clock. Actually, I think they say he went out. They said he went out. So it's 2nd down and 1. Williams looking to pass. Throws this one down the field. It's caught by Wallace. Wallace out in open space. He's inside the 20. Breaks a tackle, and he goes down near the 8-yard line.
And Zach Wallace said, one way or another, I'm getting some explosive plays in tonight. Even if the punt return didn't count right there, gets well over 40 and sets him up with prime field position now.
And they're actually going to give him the 5-yard line on that. So it's 1st down and goal again for the Middies. 2nd play of that drive. They're able to pick up a monster chunk. And the clock just continues to tick here. 5 seconds left on the play clock as they have to get to the line of scrimmage quickly. Williams takes the snap. Hands this one off to McMahon. McMahon trying to stretch it to the near side. Reaches for the pylon, and he's in for the touchdown. We do have some laundry at the 6-yard line. An illegal shift going against Midview.
Well, and it looked like just in the immediate side of the formation from tackle to tackle, everybody was in place, and it didn't look like the waning play clock was going to affect him. But I think one of those receivers trying to get out there and get set may not have been able to get on the line in time.
So they will put the ball back at the 10-yard line. 1st and goal still. Shea Williams calling for the snap. He gets it. They'll hand it off to McMahon again. He tries the left side and wrestles his way up near the 7. And we've got a timeout called by the Middies. And that timeout is taken with 54 seconds to go before halftime. Midview has one more timeout to work with. We'll go ahead and keep this one here, Max. I mean, that fumble totally changes the complexion of this game because here Elyria is charging down the field. Looked like maybe they had figured something else out offensively using the legs of Antonio Pride. They scored there. This is a totally different game, but this could take a gigantic shift the opposite direction if Midview punches this in.
Well, and that's been a microcosm of the game so far. I mean, when they were down 14-6, there was a couple penalties on a drive extending play on 3rd down that ended up making them have to punt eventually, and then right there they lose the possession. So they're a couple plays different and penalties not happening to being in a tie ball game just about. So it's been frustrating. There's been some good things, but it's been a little bit of a frustrating first half as well for the Pioneers.
A frustrating season, no question about that. They've shown some flashes here tonight. Coming out of that timeout, 2nd down and goal. They've placed the ball on the left hash at the 7-yard line. Williams sets up for a pass, throws across the middle, incomplete. He was trying to get that, I believe, to Peyton Ansel.
That was a tight window he was throwing into. Asa Brown, as well as Christian Rogers, Aaron Ensign on the back end of that, really closed in on that. So even if he was able to kind of get it in his hands, there's a decent chance somebody for Elyria was going to break that up.
49 seconds left before halftime. 3rd down and goal from the 7. Williams setting up to pass again. Fires into the end zone, incomplete. A bit too much on that pass, searching for Zachary Wallace. 4th down, and it looks like a shift in personnel coming up here. I believe they're going to try a field goal.
Well, Christopher Payne was able to hit the last time he came in, so why not try him out there and continue to add to your lead?
You mentioned the measurables for Payne before. He's a senior at 6'1", 190. A lot of the kicking this season has been handled by Caden Vanya, also a senior. And a timeout's been called, this time by the Pioneers. So they are out of timeouts with 44 seconds to play in the 2nd quarter. They only surrendered 3 here, Max. That's a little bit of a win for Elyria.
Yeah, considering right around midfield is where your defense had to start defending from. But what kind of stood out to me there, I'd imagine you want to hang on to that timeout. You still maybe had enough time for a 2-minute drill, and that's been the strength of your offense so far, is moving the ball through the air. But it's the third time we've seen them have to take a penalty ahead of a special teams play. So I don't know if Midview making a late shift there, like you said, in personnel, threw them off. But now if they do ask the offense to go score, it's going to be very tough to do so.
Well, in high school, nothing is ever considered a gimme. But as it stands right now, this will be just about a 24-yard field goal attempt. Payne will kick this from the left hash. So it's just a few yards longer than an extra point. Wallace, the holder, calling for the snap, puts it down. Field goal attempt is on the way from Payne, and it is no good. So Elyria certainly dodges a bit of a bullet there, and look, to their credit, when they got inside the 5-yard line, they really kind of clamped down.
Yeah, and they were able to take advantage of a penalty called on Midview, and it's got to be nice for that Pioneer sideline to see that by Midview instead of getting them like it has a couple times this half, and it doesn't put as much pressure on them now. Still just a 2-possession game, and they get the ball to start the third quarter, so maybe you don't feel as much heat to try to go down and score right here.
And I think you made the comment before, too. Look, without a timeout, that's asking a lot. And I think we'll get a pretty good idea here with this first snap what they want to do. We see fireworks going off in the distance. Did not have that in the bingo card tonight.
Beautiful night for it. Clear skies. Wow.
A wonderful display. Just kind of sitting back and enjoying this. Should have made that part of the halftime show. Pride fires right side. The pass is caught in the flat. It's taken down that far sideline past the 40 and out to about the 47. Boy, a quick pitch and catch. They're able to pick up first down yardage and then some. And that was Tiger McCollum, his second grab of the night.
Yeah, speeding along that sideline, and now they have a chance to at least spike it.
So they will spike it with 25 seconds left. And here's where that timeout may come in handy, right? Now, to put it this way, it worked out because they got the right personnel on the field. The field goal was no good.
That's right. There's no telling maybe if you surrender another 5 yards or half the distance penalty, Midview puts their offense back out there, so they get to leave that in the pass and not even consider the possibilities.
First down and 10. They've spopped the ball at the 48. They'll send a man in motion. Pride takes the snap. Looking down the field. Searching for Rogers. Rogers leaps up, but he can't haul it in at the 25-yard line. That would have been one heck of a grab. Although if he hangs on to that, they would have really had to rush to the line to spike that and preserve maybe one more play before the half.
He tried to stop back, maybe even draw a PI, but Peyton Ansel, good job getting his eyes back around, and it looked like he may have gotten a hand on the football, or at least sold the official enough that he was going to make a play on the ball.
Second down and 10. Pride back to pass, facing pressure, steps up. He'll try and run, spins out of a tackle, then he gets drilled at the 49-yard line. Braden Homoki with the hit stick put a shot on Antonio Pride after he picked up about 4 yards.
We've seen a lot of scrambles tonight from Pride, but most of them have been shut down right around that distance, right around 3 yards, because of great rallying, and none better maybe in the entire conference or county than Braden Homoki at doing that.
And Antonio Pride, to his credit, jumped right back up and got back to the huddle. But that will take us to the end of the first half. 21-6, our count at the end of 2. The Midview Middies lead the Elyria Pioneers. Coming up, we've got the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. We'll get you a scoring recap in this one. We'll look at some first half stats. We'll also see what's happening in other high school football stadiums in and across the area. And, of course, we have to rate the dog as well. All that and much more coming your way here in just a few moments on the Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. Your score one more time at the half. Midview 21, Elyria 6 on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. 21-6, our halftime score here in Grafton at Midview High School. The Middies on top of the Elyria Pioneers. Very pleased to bring this one to you on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. And with that, we launch right in to our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. If you have insurance questions, call Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Lorain County's Four Horsemen, live and in living color. Out here in Grafton tonight, Andy Bullbarch joined alongside Max Drummond, Edwin Vereen, the captain of our ship. He's the director tonight, and Sam Sovacool working the camera, making his way down to the ticket areas so he could pick up some sweet treats for us as well. And, of course, you know how he does it. He picks up some hot dogs for us to rate as well. We'll get to that a little bit later on at the half. Max, before we dive into the scoring recap and the stats, but an entertaining first half that just kind of swung one way and then the other. You can make the case that Midview could be up by multiple scores and have a running clock. You could also make the case that Elyria could be a score away from tying this thing up.
Yeah, and there's going to be a number of moments on film tomorrow and throughout just checking it out over the weekend that these teams are going to realize, like, man, we could have had it in this spot, or we could have been a lot closer here. So they're probably kicking themselves a little bit, and it just, all that means is you got a lot of adjustments to make at halftime, and you haven't even played your best ball yet. So excited to see if they can both kind of correct those things and lead to a very competitive second half like we got in the first half of it there.
Well, let's take a look at the scoring recap in this one. The Midview Middies turned the ball over on downs despite the fact that they got inside Elyria territory, all the way inside the red zone. Then they forced the Pioneers to punt on a 3-and-out, and they took over with sensational field position. How good? Well, they had the ball at the Elyria 12-yard line, so they had just a dozen yards to go, and they were able to punch it in on a 2-yard touchdown rush from Mr. Marcus McMahon. It was his first of 2 trips to the end zone here tonight. But Elyria responded very, very quickly. A 22-yard TD pass from Antonio Pride to Ja'Cory Bradley. That made it 7-6. They missed that extra point, and that capped a 7-play, 80-yard drive for the Pioneers where they really hit their stride in the passing game. But Midview responded very quickly on their next drive, going 67 yards on 8 plays and getting into the end zone on a 5-yard touchdown rush from McMahon to make it 14-6. Then we had what we thought was going to be a punt return for a touchdown, 70 yards from Zachary Wallace, but that was called back. What that did was it set up a nice long sustained drive for the Middies. They would go 76 yards on a dozen plays, and they took it in from 1 yard out, a rush from Brendan Newton to make it 21-6. That's where we stand in this one. In the midst of all that, there was also a fumble that didn't cost the Pioneers any points because there was a missed field goal at the end of it. A nice job by the Elyria defense to hold up and make sure that nothing came of that. So it's been a wild ride here in this first half. And with that, I give the baton to Max Drummond so he can tell you all about the stats in the opening half.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we had a few plays where stats came off of the sheet or the board, however you want to phrase it. But looking at what we do have, both teams have passed the ball pretty well so far. We'll start with Midview as they hold the lead at the moment. Shea Williams, 10 for 12, 165 yards on the night. So obviously we always talk about Marcus McMahon, and he's had his as well. He's made sure to still eat up a lot of yards on the ground, 14 carries, 101 yards, and 2 scores. And you almost would have expected him to get another one there right before the half. But Elyria held strong, and as for those Pioneers, their passing game is really what's made the difference so far and kind of kept them within reach of this game. As Antonio Pride himself, 7 of 9, 127 through the air, and a touchdown pass to Ja'Cory Bradley, who is the leading receiver with 4 grabs for 66 yards. So pretty productive night through the air for both sides so far.
Yeah, very productive night indeed, and that's what's made this first half so entertaining. Stats, of course, brought to you by Al Januzzi CPA because it's all about the numbers. That's Al Januzzi CPA. We've referred to that basketball season a couple of times. Coach Januzzi, I'm sure, will have those open-door Patriots ready to go, and that season is rapidly approaching. Time to rate the dog now, courtesy of Brian Victor of Howard Hanna Realty. Brian says, enjoy the game. We do more than that, my friend. We enjoy the dog. Big thanks to Sam Sovacool for running down and getting us the hot dogs, as he always does. Solid dog, as always. We were treated to a couple of these last year when we were here on 2 separate occasions. It was just as strong this year as it was last year. And as a matter of fact, when Sam brought it up to us, he said, look, these are fresh out of the oven. Tasted like an absolutely fantastic, a terrific Friday night hot dog. I'll go 4-1 on this one.
I was going to say the heat part's not always a guarantee. I'm going to come in at 3.7, and we always talk about the speed of his delivery, but also to hang on to them. Well, they're probably scorching hot. That's another impressive component that he keeps adding to all season long.
Well, that's a Hall of Fame career that he put together at Westlake, and he's just adding more layers to that with every single dog that he brings up here throughout the course of the season. All right, let's take another timeout here at our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show again, 21-6. Elyria trailing Midview at the half. When we come back, we'll take a look at the area scoreboard and let you know what's going on at other high school football stadiums in and across the area as that playoff picture continues to take shape. 21-6, Midview leads Elyria halfway through this one on our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. It's live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Just a few moments left on our Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance halftime show. If you have insurance questions, visit Jeff Allison of Health Markets Insurance in Amherst. Our score halfway through this one is Midview 21 and Elyria 6. Let's take a look at the other scores going on in and across the county. Black River all over Brookside, 21-0 at the half. A big one between Keystone and Columbia. Right now, the Raiders having some fun at the expense of the Wildcats. 14-0 Columbia with the advantage. Clearview blanking Oberlin 20-0. Firelands up 28-7 on Wellington. That game at last check was in the second quarter. Avon all over Amherst 27-0. North Ridgeville and Avon Lake, they've got a good one brewing right now. North Ridgeville has the 10-7 lead on the Shoremen. Olmsted Falls up 25-6 on Berea Mid-Park. In the North Coast Conference, Holy Name leads Elyria Catholic 24-7. Strongsville leads Lorain 16-0, and 7-0 Huron leads Vermilion. At last check that game in the first quarter. Vermilion, of course, the thriller last week in 5 overtimes against the Port Clinton Redskins. A game that you and I won't soon forget, my friend. What a thriller that was. That was so much fun to call. 5 separate overtime sessions, and well, they've got a tough one on their hands tonight, taking on Huron, trailing 7-0. And that's a series that hasn't gone their way over the last, half century or so, but they were able to put an end to that long losing streak last year. It'll be fun to see what the Sailors do down the stretch.
Yeah, something about Vermilion and us getting to witness history. It says we get to see that losing streak break last year, and then this year the longest, I believe, documented overtime game in Ohio high school football since 2002. So it's just incredible that we got to see both of those.
Halfway through this one, 21-6. Well, what are some second half adjustments you expect both the Pioneers and the Middies to make?
Well, we've seen a little bit of Elyria trying to get their ground game to where it's respectable, and Midview has to commit to stopping it. But I think if they just kind of go back to a bit of what we saw at different points in that first half, getting their athletes in space, whether it's Ja'Cory Bradley or Tiger McCollum, and then a guy whose name we expected to call more in Chris Rogers, he hasn't even had a catch yet. So I imagine they'll try to include him a little bit more and just get those receivers the ball a little bit more often. You don't have too much to lose in trailing as you do right now anyway. And as for Midview, I know that coaching staff, they want to see them finish a few more of these drives. They've had 2 separate times now where they've been in the red zone and came away with no points.
Christian Rogers, as you mentioned, maybe not as involved in the passing game as he'd like to be tonight, though he did have a real nice kickoff return where it looked like he was held up at about the 33-yard line and then somehow shoved that pile forward about 6 yards.
Expect the running back on the roster to be doing that.
Yeah.
That's the receiver and corner, two-way player finding a way to get it done there.
Midview won the coin toss. They elected to receive, so they will kick to begin the second half. Christopher Payne will send it back to the Elyria Pioneers. They've got 3 deep to retrieve this kickoff. And this is a pretty big drive to kickstart the third quarter. See if they can get that offense back on track. Payne will run forward and get his right foot into it. High kick, end over end kick. That's going to go into the end zone for a touchback. Good decision made by Dolan Melendez. A lot of times, guys try and play hero and backpedal and retrieve that kickoff, and with your momentum going backwards, guys are flying at you, moving the opposite direction. It's wise and it's smart to let that one bounce past you like Melendez just did, but in high school, sometimes you get those hearts in your eyes, right?
And it's even more enticing when you've seen a couple of big returns tonight from both sides. You want to try to one-up that and keep matching that. So instead, the offense gets to start at the 20, and one of the times they did, they were able to go the length of the field. So we'll see if they can do the same coming out of halftime here.
Antonio Pride leading the charge for this Elyria offense. He's done some damage with his arm and his legs tonight. They'll take the snap, and they'll go right up the gut with Springer. Homoki will drag him down at the 25. A 5-yard pickup right away for Springer.
That's quite the collision in the hole there with Homoki. We've seen Springer on the other side of that when he's been playing defense. So a lot of physicality required right now by these running backs and linebackers.
I'll say this, Elyria is playing with some tempo. They're playing with some confidence. Not necessarily the kind of confidence you would expect from an 0-7 team, but they've been able to get into a rhythm here offensively. They'll hand off to Springer again. He's able to twist his way up past the 27-yard line. He gets a couple on that carry. 3rd and short coming up for Elyria.
And so far this evening, a guy that's kind of flown under the radar, but he's made a few nice plays. Braden Arnold there. Obviously, Braden Hamoki gets most of the shine in that linebacking core, but Arnold with a few nice plays there at the line of scrimmage this evening. And, I mean, he had 60 tackles of his own coming into tonight.
Yeah, second leading tackler on the team. Pride passes, left side, passes hauled in along that far sideline and dropped. Well, they had the first down, but just could not quite complete the pass. And now the Pioneers forced to make a decision on 4th down, and they were trying to get that into the hands of Christian Rogers.
Well, it would have been a real simple and effective way to do so, just barely even a 4-yard comeback route right there. And, you know, almost 9 times out of 10, you expect him to haul that one in.
They'll keep the offense on the field here on 4th down and 3. Pride looking left side. Now he's in some trouble. Pride rolls out near side to the right, surveying the field, dumps it across the middle, and the pass falls incomplete. Looking for Asa Brown, but that pass was knocked away by Peyton Ansel.
It's a good job there staying home and in your coverage, as some of those guys in the Midview back end could have fallen asleep there, assuming that Pride was going to go down. Instead, he somehow was able to get out of that pocket. But just a tough throw to make on the run there, and even tougher when those Midview defenders stayed with the receivers.
So they'll take over at the 28-yard line. Incredible field position again for the Middies, with a 21-6 lead. Shea Williams will hand it off to McMahon. McMahon stiff arms a defender trying to get to the corner. Levi Springer ran him down close to the 23. And Springer is still on the turf. It's a little slow to get up. He gets help from his teammates before getting back to his feet.
That's a guy that's played a lot of snaps tonight. Obviously, we mentioned his name a ton, and maybe his arm getting caught under McMahon as he was able to wrestle him down there. So good to see him back on his feet, though.
Got about 5 yards on that first down pickup. They'll hand it off to McMahon again. This time he tries the middle. Springer right there on the stop. The first one to corral his legs and limit him to a gain of 3 yards.
And he may have gotten up slow the play after the previous play, but wiped the slate clean. He said, I got a job to do, and that's slow down Marcus McMahon, somehow beating both the pulling guard and tight end right there to force a 3rd down here.
A 3rd down and a long 2. Shea Williams with a hard snap count. Hands it off to McMahon. He's got the first down and then some. Breaks a tackle inside the 10. Works his way across the goal line. Touchdown! A 20-yard touchdown rush for Marcus McMahon. 3rd trip to the end zone tonight.
And it appears the fatigue is setting in from just him being able to break out of some of these tackles where guys have a full wrap-up on him. It still just doesn't matter as he fights his way through and finishes off a drive, which I'm sure that coaching staff and Jack Armstrong is pumped to see.
There were multiple Pioneers down initially. One of them, thankfully, has gotten up, but there's another down on the play. That's right around the line of scrimmage. And the training staff will come out there and tend to him, but that makes it a hat trick for Marcus McMahon. I'll say this, I admire the decision that was made by Coach Matt Wilson to go for it. I think he's probably thinking, look, what do you have to lose at this point in the season? You get 3 yards, it's a shot in the arm for the offense. You get them rolling, and it's Levi Springer, who's slow to get up, making his way toward the far sideline.
Well, it certainly would also gave them the confidence to go for it on that fourth down, because the previous play, they had the right play called. They just weren't able to finish it off with the catch there. And, you know, with how these receivers for Elyria have been playing tonight, you kind of like your odds in a fourth and short. I mean, I know we don't talk analytics much at all here at the high school level, but in that situation, I got to imagine they encourage you to go for it.
Payne trying to split the uprights and make it 28-7. Extra point has plenty of distance, and it's accurate as well. 28-7 Midview over Elyria with 9:17 left on this third quarter clock. It's our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week, live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Midview takes advantage of terrific field position, and they get into the end zone on a 20-yard touchdown rush from Marcus McMahon. The hat trick for him, 28-7 Middies with a little over 9 minutes left in the third quarter. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call. Edwin Vereen, our director, Sam Sovacool operating the camera tonight. After this one, 2 weeks remain in the high school football season. We stay in the SWC for the last 2 weeks. Next Friday night, we will be in North Ridgeville, where the Rangers will take on the Amherst Comets. And then we will see these very same Elyria Pioneers 2 weeks from tonight for the regular season finale, when they match wits and lock horns with the defending Division II state champs and the Avon Eagles, who tonight are having their way with Amherst. Well, Midview has Olmsted Falls next week, and they finish the season against Amherst. Well, that should be a really nice season finale. Payne will kick it away. High end over end. Melendez had it, lost it, picks it back up at the 11-yard line, has a seam to work with in the middle of the field. He's able to get past the 35, and he's dragged down by Demir Gray.
Oh, perhaps the delay there and getting a hold of the ball set up some time for his blockers, and maybe the kick coverage coming a little too far downfield there, so he takes advantage, and we get to see Elyria operate with some better field position.
They have spotted the ball at the 38-yard line. And the Pioneers will work without a running back here. They've done that a few times tonight. So Pride's by his lonesome in this 5-receiver look. That front four for Midview can certainly apply a lot of pressure. Pride throws left side. The pass is caught along the far sideline. It's taken up to about the midfield stripe. They may give them the Midview 49, and that's more than enough for an Elyria first out.
Yeah, so they don't waste any time going right back to Rogers there, and he makes up for his drop last drive and picks up a nice gain along that sideline. I'll tell you, it was an impressive job to tightrope it there. I wasn't sure if he stayed in long enough for the first down, but clearly he did, and then some.
Pioneer offense on the move again. They've been able to pick up some plays in pretty big chunks throughout the night. Pride will drop back. Pocket collapsing. He'll step up and run. He's got plenty of room down the sideline to the 30-yard line. He is run out of bounds inside the 30 near the 27, but we've got some laundry on the field. Back at the 43, it's a personal foul going against Elyria.
That's not the first time a personal foul has bit them on a positive play down the field. At first I wasn't sure if there was maybe going to be a holding back there, but fortunately, obviously our camera's going to follow Pride there, so not really sure what happened in the backfield after he escaped.
So it's a personal foul against Elyria. The referee, Kevin Selecki, who threw that flag, tells the gang to move the ball back to the 36-yard line. And you're right, from our perspective, tough to tell what caused that. But that negates what would have been a monster pickup. And now they have a long ways to go on first down. Pride wants the shotgun snap from Parker Osborne. He gets it. Pressure coming right away. He gets sacked. Driven to the turf back at the 27-yard line by Sawyer McMillan.
And you can't blame Elyria for trying to spread them out and have as many receivers in the pattern as possible, but that means these offensive linemen, most of them are going to be left in one-on-ones, and with McMillan, that's a tough ask for anybody.
It's so interesting to see how he's grown these last 2 seasons. Certainly caught our attention last year, and he's had a nice junior season as well. He's been all over the place tonight. Second down and a country mile. Pass goes right side, caught by Asa Brown. Had some blocks set up in front of him before he's tackled at the 36. So they get 7 yards on that. Braden Hamoki on the stop. We had whistles, not exactly sure what that was all about. And I'm not exactly sure what the problem here is, but it looks like they have to bring Jerry Stewart off the field. I don't know if that's an equipment issue or what the problem is, but he has to come off the field.
And at the end of that play, I mean, he had a conversation with Jackson Goodspeed. And I don't know if Goodspeed was telling him, hey, something's up with your equipment, but yeah, either way, they're going to either have to check on that or just get him out of the game for the moment at least.
And again, there were no flags thrown on the play. So now the officials looking to that far sideline, trying to explain something to Elyria head coach Matt Wilson. I still have a long ways to go here. They have to get all the way to the Midview 39 for a first down.
It's a spot where guys like McMillan and a few others can pin their ears back, so they got to get out quick.
He'll throw to the left, caught by Rogers, tries to take it to the middle of the field. He's past the 45, breaks a tackle, he gets to the 49 of Midview. He bought himself about 7 or 8 extra yards after making that catch. And now they're in a position where they can go for it and still feel pretty good about it, not taking a major risk. They'll spot him down at the 50, but now you need 11 yards.
And predictably, the Middies, I mean, they dropped a lot of guys beyond the 45, the 50-yard line even, and that just left a lot of space for him to work with. And, you know, sometimes a coach can get upset about a guy doing too much or backtracking, but right there it paid off really nicely to get them at least back to midfield.
4th and about 12. Pride fires, left side, has a man open. The pass is knocked away, incomplete. Trying to complete that to Christian Rogers, but Peyton Ansel said no, sir.
Ansel's had their number all night whenever they've tried to throw his way. And once again, we see him staying with them in stride and is able to help break that one up and get the ball back to his offense.
So Elyria will turn the ball over on downs. And again, a penalty at the forefront of that. Then a sack, which put them back at their own 29-yard line. They essentially had to go 32 yards to try and pick up a fresh set of downs. I mean, they picked up right around 20.
Yeah, more than half at least.
Midview takes over. Up 28-6 with 6:17 to play. Here in this third stanza. It'll be a reverse. They're going to give it to Wallace on the end around. He collides with the defender and lost the ball. It's on the turf. And now the officials are saying he was down when that ball came out. Elyria came out of that pile quickly. It was Christian Rogers, I believe, who picked up that loose ball and started running with it after it looked like they jarred that loose. But the officials were quick to rule it was down, or no. Elyria was reacting as if they had gotten possession of the ball, but now the officials are going to huddle up here at the 44. We still don't know who has the ball.
Well, it was a heck of a collision between Wallace and believe Amari Ford, Elijah Hope may have been in there at the end as well. And wow.
After all that, it'll be Elyria football. They recover the fumble.
And that's just, the ball bounced perfectly to somehow stay in bounds and for him to grab it there. Wow.
6:06 left on this third quarter clock. It's a new life for Elyria. They're waiting on the official spot here. And they're still not sure where they're going to put this ball. The chain gang has it set up at the 43.
Well, since they blew it dead, because he was still on his feet as they were blowing the whistle, and he got up to around the 48 of Elyria there. But I think he recovered the ball closer to the 40, so maybe right in line where they do have this. If they need it, they could go on YouTube and do a quick review. I'm not sure if that'd be legal with OHSAA, but it'll clear things up around here.
You've got to use the tools at your disposal, right?
Yeah.
We'd like to think we're at their disposal tonight.
You can help them out.
Like they do in the NBA, right? Have them come up and take a look. They've officially spotted it at the 43. We are ready to go. Antonio Pride will hand this one off to Springer. Springer wrestled down for a second, then he escapes, but now he faces a second wave of Midview Middies, and he is dropped by Sawyer McMillan.
Now, I understand wanting to fight for extra yards. Obviously, you're going to do whatever you can. And maybe they'll get lucky with the forward progress, but right there, 2 or 3 guys got you. You're beat. You got to take your medicine there and you go down for the original loss.
The officials will mark him down at the 36. So you're right, they do get the forward progress. A loss of 7 yards on that play. Impressive he was able to step out of a tackle there and that initial wave.
That's with all the hits he's been applying on defense, getting off blockers and trying to help out in the passing game with some pass blocking. So the fact he had the energy to do that, impressive.
Pride rolling up, throws down the field, and the pass falls incomplete. We have a flag. Pass is incomplete, but we have Laundry on the field. The official on the near sideline indicating that somebody got too far down the field.
Looking at the play itself, it was tough to tell who that pass was going to. Near the end of it, Asa Brown almost hauled that in along the sideline, but it looked like Tiger McCollum was even trying to go for that one, stretch out for it. So either way, I mean, he put in a spot where 2 teammates had a chance at it.
That'll cost him 5 yards. And now we've got whistles. And now what? Things have really grinded to a halt here. As with all these flags being thrown, it's become a little bit tougher for either side to establish any sort of a rhythm. They have the ball spotted at the 31. And now we're ready to go again.
Yeah, and you know, for Elyria specifically, they've been given a few second chances here and just not able to take advantage of them now with these penalties increasing, and see if they can clean that up as the night goes on.
Antonio Pride looking down the field. He's going to run it, and he just runs out of bounds. Didn't see anything open down the field, so he stepped up, and now we've got another flag back at the 22. This is going against the Pioneers.
I thought for a moment, I mean, you can see right now McMillan's shoulder pad is exposed, so I thought for a moment there may have been a hold. It looked like while Antonio Pride was still scrambling, almost going out of bounds, there may have been a Elyria lineman hitting a Midview defender who was on the ground or trying to get back up. So
they've called a personal foul against Elyria.
They're just stacking up too many of those tonight. I mean, it's tough to even come up with a play call here when you keep hurting yourself like this.
That's exactly it. I mean, they're going to run this play from the 14-yard line. They have to get to the Midview 47 for a fresh set of downs. Pride Going to keep this one. He's in trouble. He is hit and dropped. Victor Padilla and Sawyer McMillan combined for that tackle for a loss. And now they're going to be forced to punt this thing away.
Right there, they try to, couldn't tell if there was a pass and option there, but it looked like a start of an RPO. And I mean, his running back was getting hit as he had to take it away, and then there's somebody else in his lap. So probably doing only what he can there and just make sure you retain possession to give your punter a chance.
Punter is R.J. Williams, averaging just over 31 yards per pop this season. We've seen him a couple of times tonight. Late substitution, play clock inside of 3. They'll get that snap back, or did they? Nope, now we see the flag come flying in. Again, they seemed a little bit disjointed trying to get everybody set. They had somebody flying in late, and as he was coming out of the field, we saw the play clock was down to 3.
And unfortunately, it's become a pattern now as the game has gone on. And not only guys coming onto the field, but guys getting off the field in not in too timely of a manner. So it's just things like that you want to have honed in by this point in the season, and it's just biting them tonight.
Williams left to punt this out of his own end zone. Oh, no, came off the side of his foot. It goes out of bounds on the near sideline. And the official on the near side is going to mark this out at the 20-yard line.
If you're Midview, you knew you'd likely have some decent field position, especially with how your returners had been doing tonight, and they don't even have to worry about guys like Wallace and Newton.
So they will have this at the Elyria 20-yard line. Midview has had great field position throughout the night. They lead this one 28-6. 3:47 is what that third quarter clock reads. McMahon has made his way into the end zone 3 times tonight. Could he make it a 4th? Early movement on the right side of the defensive line. That's going to cost Elyria 5 more.
It's a good job by Williams there with the hard count, and obviously don't know what the play call was specifically there or what else they were reading, but just for future reference to maybe be able to take advantage of a play. If you're in a deadlock game, you want to see the center snap that, maybe have a chance to go up top with it or be able to take advantage of the free play.
We mentioned what lies ahead for Midview. Next week, they take on Olmsted Falls, and in 2 weeks, what should be a really interesting one, they'll take on the Amherst Comets. The give goes up the middle to McMahon, but he's got nowhere to go. Corralled very quickly. Levi Springer had some help from Amari Ford.
Yeah, no shock there when you said that name is Springer. I mean, he just shot through there. You would have thought he was lined up on the defensive line with how quickly he was able to get across the face of I believe, the guard on that play.
Second down at 5 coming up. They'll send Newton in motion. They'll hand it off to him, but Springer will rip him to the turf back at the 19-yard line. We have another flag on the play. And this is going to be a face mask against Elyria. Well, Brennan Newton kind of spiked the ball at the end of that play out of pure frustration. Certainly looked like he didn't take too kindly to the way that he was taken down.
Yeah, watch yourself on that. I mean, you get his frustration there, but yeah, with how many flags have been flying this evening, you got to be careful spiking the ball after the play like that. But, you know, and obviously the penalty helped bring him down, but that was one of the few times it feels like east to west hasn't really worked for Midview.
McMahon on the give. He's able to get through that initial wave, and then he stopped right around the 9-yard line.
Man, oh man, I'm convinced they are sending Springer. No matter what the look, no matter the formation, it just seems like he's being told, shoot that A-gap and try to see what you can find, because there's no answer for him up front right now. Nobody's able to get a hat on him.
Rare that the first guy is able to bring him down. 2nd and goal now for the Middies. Williams hands it off to McMahon again. Plows his way up to the 5-yard line. A little over 2 minutes left here in the third quarter. And a score here wouldn't quite put that running clock in play.
Yeah, these have been prime opportunities for McMahon, and even from the 5, got to believe they go to him here in some way.
They'll hand it off to him again. Spins off a defender. Works his way to the left and into the end zone. Touchdown, Middies. Make it 4 trips to pay dirt tonight for Marcus McMahon. And they are holding up 2 down on the near sideline. They're going to go for 2 here to try and make it 36-6.
And once again, I mean, we get to see his burst and his short distance quickness. Right there, uses it with the spin move, and then not even having to go towards the pylon, he's able to cut that up just outside the hash and gives them a chance to really put a nice lead up here.
The 2-point conversion would make it a 30-point lead, and that would put that running clock in play. A shift in personnel. Newton lined up as the quarterback. McMahon off his right hip. He'll take it himself. Newton runs right side. He is tackled at the 2-yard line short. So the 2-point conversion is no good. It is 34-6. Middies on top of the Pioneers with 1:31 left in the third quarter. Live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Make it 4 trips to the end zone tonight for Marcus McMahon. Moments ago, a 5-yard touchdown rush, 2-point conversion, no good. So it's 34-6, Midview. They took over at the 20-yard line after a botched punt from the Pioneers. And that came at the very end of a drive that was littered with penalties for Elyria. Christopher Paint has been a busy man tonight. Ready to kick it back to Elyria. Gets his right foot into it, high end over end kick. Dolan Melendez will retrieve it near the 8-yard line. He's out past the 20, hit at the 25-yard line, but he's able to push his way up to about the 29, and now we've got a ball loose on the turf. Flags come flying in all over the place. No indication as to who picked that ball up. But again, we've got laundry all over. One at the 29, we've got flags at the 35 and the 37. Midview says they came up with it. The officials have not made a signal yet, one way or the other.
Well, and it appeared that running down the field, good job getting in position. Karam Shinawi, the guy on the coverage unit for the Middies, may have helped force that and get the ball back.
So offsetting personal fouls, and Midview did indeed recover that fumble. And now they have to spot the ball officially here. Not exactly sure where that was picked up or where they're going to spot this.
And the most interesting part, it wasn't even the fastest collision. We've seen some pretty high speed and physical collisions tonight. That one, it just seemed like the pile would kind of come to a standstill, and all of a sudden the ball pops out.
I'm telling you, it feels like this third quarter has taken an hour and a half. They're still not sure where to put the ball.
Oh.
And now they'll place it at the 29-yard line. So with $1:22 to go here in the third, if Midview can put some points up on the board here, that would give us a running clock. You have to wonder, too, how much longer Coach Armstrong's going to keep the starters in the game. Shea Williams will hand off to McMahon. He goes straight up the gut, and he stopped near the 27-yard line, so he picks up just a couple on first down.
Yeah, and even despite some of the tough running he's had to deal with here in this third quarter, I mean, he's still got a nice average going on up front of around 6.5 yards a carry. So he's been able to even turn those tough yards into a productive gains. Well, we thought we didn't need our exterminator again from last week, but we might have to call him again.
The give goes to McMahon. Turns the corner right side. Run to Roon down the sideline. He gets awfully close. Is he in? And doesn't look like he got in. He stepped out a little bit short of the goal line.
Just as we mentioned, he's having to fight for a lot of hard yards, and the Pioneers are stepping up in the trenches right there. He's able to break one off to the right side, and really they got a chance to put an exclamation point on this game.
McMahon trying to make it a handful of touchdowns if he could punch this one in. They said he went out at the 3-yard line. First down and goal again for the Middies. Hard snap count. Williams gives it to McMahon. Turns the corner left side. Walks across the goal line. Making a handful of trips to the end zone for Marcus McMahon. This one a 3-yard touchdown run. And the Middies have a 40-6 lead, putting the running clock in play with inside of 20 ticks to go here in the third.
And with 5, I mean, I know this is a program with great tradition. A lot of great players come through here, but he's got to be getting closer, maybe tied or eclipsed the school record there. 5 touchdowns. What an incredible night for McMahon.
Extra point coming from Christopher Payne, rather. And that'll be the last play of this fourth quarter. Payne's extra point is on the way, and it is good. 41-6, Middies lead Elyria at the end of 3. It's live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. Moments ago, Marcus McMahon reached pay dirt for the 5th time tonight, and that makes it 41-6 Midview over Elyria. And now we have a running clock as we get set to begin the fourth quarter of play. Andy Bulbarch and Max Drummond on the call for you. El Capitan, the director of our ship, is Edwin Vereen. Sam Sovacool on the camera. Kickoff from Payne, bounces a couple of times. It's retrieved inside the 10-yard line by Rogers, takes it past the 20. He's out past the 30-yard line. He's still going and finally dropped near the 35. And there are some extracurriculars going on at the end of the play. A flag is thrown. Demir Gray was locked up with Deron Johnson of Elyria.
And this is a spot where you want to avoid these kind of interactions and just continue to keep this game moving along here.
Kevin Selecki and his crew have been really busy here in the second half. Only 5 on this crew tonight, and that can certainly complicate matters just a bit.
Well, and while they try to sort this out and determine this, was able to talk to a few guys here in the press box. So as great of a night as McMahon is having, they were trying to remember as a group. Dustin Crum had a game where he had 8 total. So the rushing only, maybe that's in the ballpark, but as for overall touchdowns, I mean, that may never be touched.
Who could forget the remarkable career that he had here with the Middies?
Yes.
Well, you could argue that was one of the absolute greatest careers ever put together, not only by a Middie, but anybody in the county.
Countywide, and could extend to state, and obviously continued that on to a great career at the college level as well.
So the clock continues to tick. Penalty went against the Middies. Elyria will take over at the 50-yard line. Pride will throw right side. Pass is hauled in at the 45-yard line. Tiger McCollum picked him up about 4 yards. They've called his number a few times tonight. McCollum, a senior, 5'8", 150. Came into this game with 16 grabs, rather.
And he fits in as kind of the third receiver in the pecking order, but tonight you'd be mistaken to think he was the top receiver, the lead guy.
Pride throws to his left. McCollum had it, and as he tried to turn, he lost it. Went in and out of his hands, and the incompletion sets up 3rd down and 6.
When he ran a great route there to kind of open up and still give himself enough time there for Pride to hit him before he got too close to the sideline. Just not able to finish that one off with the catch.
They have Quan Ward as the tailback, a sophomore, 5'8", 190. We figured we'd see him at some point tonight. Most of the tailback duties have been handled by Levi Springer. Third and 6 here for Elyria. Pride throws across the middle, caught by McCollum. He gets redemption, takes it past the 30, breaks a tackle, and it takes a few Middies to take him down to the 26.
Yeah, brilliant job after the catch. Most of his targets have really been when he's been kind of running down the field, whether it's posts or corners or something out of the slot. Right there, he's able to just set up and make it happen after the catch. So he's showed off he's a pretty complete receiver.
Again, running clock in play here with Midview leading 41-6, 1st down and 10. Pride rolling out to the right, directing traffic down the field, throws, the pass is knocked away, and then almost caught at the 5-yard line. Or did he catch it?
Wow.
Yes, he did. Oh, what a grab. For a moment, looked like that was knocked away, and then Asa Brown made a sensational catch off the deflection.
Yeah, I mean, the concentration in play there, it's a thing of beauty.
Watching it the second time around. How in the world did he come down with that at the 5-yard line? What a catch. Elyria on the move, trying to halt this running clock. Pride will take the snap, takes it straight up the gut and into the end zone. Touchdown, Pioneers. A 5-yard touchdown rush for Antonio Pride. And that'll stop the clock at 7:51.
And we've seen throughout most of the night, Pride's had a few lanes to get through, but nothing more than around a couple yards at a time typically. So right there, to be able to spring through and take advantage of a defense that they really felt pressured and threatened in the back end with how he performed that drive. Just a smart play.
Lex Brunner on for the extra point. Knuckles its way through the uprights, and it is good. 41-13 is our score. Elyria trailing Midview, 7:51 to go in this one. It's our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week on the Lorain County Sports Network. moments ago. Antonio Pride punches it in from 5 yards out to make it 41-13. Elyria with their second score of the game. Pride played a role in both. He threw that first touchdown, a 22-yard strike, to Ja'Cory Bradley. Lex Brunner all set to kick it back to Midview. Get his right foot into it, a high end over end kick that will go into the end zone. So a touchback, and Midview will take over at the 20-yard line with 7:51 to play. It'll be interesting to see, Max, how many starters are still out there to be a part of this.
Yeah, there's already been a lot of great performances tonight, most notably McMahon, but he doesn't need to add anything else to this. Just get him, make sure he stays ready for the next couple weeks. And if you're a Middie fan, hopefully add a guy like Jace Wright back into the fold, depending on how he comes along next week. So that way you're full strength for those last two SWC games, which will be huge for playoff points.
McMahon certainly has put himself in the running for the Golden Helmet Award. Don't forget, you can follow WOBL and WDLW and the Lorain County Sports Network on all the social media fronts. For the Nick Abraham Elyria Ford Golden Helmet Award Watch, shop ElyriaFord.com.
Well, that can be the result of a new quarterback. Is right now it's a it's a number you're not going to see too often back there with a 36.
It's Noah Rivera back in the shotgun. As again, lots of different personnel on the field as we expected at this point in the game. Rivera, just a freshman, hands it off to Morris. Morris is hit immediately in the backfield. Carson Morris, 5'4", 155-pounder. I think you could certainly sense the way things were getting a little testy on that last offensive series. Coach Armstrong figured, as you just mentioned, Max, two really big games coming up. If they're going to get to the postseason, they're going to have to probably win both of those. They got Olmsted Falls next week, Amherst the week after.
And, you know, if there's any question to where they can compete with some of the bigger teams in the conference like that, I mean, they were within 4 points of North Ridgeville, and it was a 2-possession game with Berea Mid-Park in that loss. So they can certainly hang with the likes of Olmsted Falls and Amherst. Just got to control those factors like health and making sure everybody's available for those games.
Logan Winkler, the ball carrier that time, and again, Elyria swarming to the football very quickly. Third down and very long coming up for the Middies. Preparing for Olmsted Falls is always tough. Every coach you talk to in the SWC says, I wish we had those guys in the first week of the season.
Right.
So he had that extra time to get ready for that style of offense. Just doesn't seem like a week is enough. Rivera will take the snap, and they'll try the middle again, but just nowhere for Carson Morris to go.
Well, you mentioned the style is a bit different, and a lot of the ground game and variation they use in that. Elyria, it's not the most advantageous to go against them before that because the way they spread you out, attack you with these receivers in space, you're not likely to see any of that next week.
And for Elyria, things don't get a whole lot easier for them either. We mentioned that we will see them again in a couple of weeks when they take on Avon. Avon at last check, they were all over Amherst at the half. And they've got a pretty sizable matchup, the Eagles do, coming up next week. More on that in a bit. Brennan Newton's punt will bounce out of bounds on the far side near the 45-yard line. And who knows, how things are going to look in a couple of weeks, but if Avon is victorious again next week, they will have all but secured a bye in the first round in Division II, Region 6. Like, there are some regions where sometimes you want to keep playing, right, to keep that momentum. Division II, Region 6, one of those where it feels like you might need a week off.
Yeah, and with how it's basically a matchup game every week on once you get out of the first and out of the second round, because a team we saw earlier this year, Medina Highland, there's somebody you likely run into there. So you want to be as fresh as you can for those, so that way everybody's on a level playing field.
Ford back to pass. His pass is deflected, and it is almost intercepted. There were two on the right side of the line of scrimmage, and it's Caden Neubauer who comes away very upset with himself. He thought he should have had the pick.
And feels like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some of the big guys up front, and you want to try to take advantage of that when you can. But as you said, Neubauer also close to it. Luke Douglas, the senior defensive lineman. Imagine that in a big home game like this. Not senior night, that'll be next week, but one of his last opportunities to play in the stadium.
Omari Ford will have Quan Ward next to him in the backfield in this four-receiver look. He's got three lined up at the bottom of your screen. Ford throws this one deep down the field, nobody home. Well, it sure looked like he was trying to complete that to Eris Malone, a sophomore, just 6'4", 192. It's a pretty big sophomore, but that pass had way too much air under it.
Well, that at least went 45 yards through the air, so, I mean, fortunately, he's got quite a cannon on him, but as for Malone, you mentioned the size he has to work with, and I mean, he hasn't had much of a chance to see the field this year, but that's because of the great receiver depth in front of him, and he has a little bit more size than those other guys do, so if he's able to take and learn from what they've done and you add that to his frame, I mean, that could be a real dangerous player here in a year or two.
Ford is going to run this one, takes it straight up the gut. He's got some room. He gets to the 35-yard line, fights forward to the 34, and that's enough for a first down. Nicholas Neurotter got to him near the 35-yard line, but he was running downhill, and he got just enough to move the sticks.
He did his best Antonio Pride impression there with the scramble ability. I mean, throughout the year, he hasn't really shown much of an ability to do that, more of a passer, but right there, taking what defense gives him to move the chains.
Both teams getting guys some reps here that may not normally see a chance to play this deep into the game or this deep into the season. Ford rolls out to the right, fires it down the field, and a sliding grab is made near the 26. Nope, he could not quite hang on to it. That falls incomplete. One of the cool things that Coach Wilson mentioned to us going back to Antonio Pride, he mentioned, look, Antonio Pride's a leader both on the field and off. He said that Antonio Pride was one of the guys that will actually go around, he'll pick guys up and drive them to practice. I thought that was really cool because, you know, sometimes guys just don't always have the means or transportation in order to get to practices, let alone games. And it takes a real leader for someone like Pride to step up and do that. Ford facing pressure, throws to his right, has a man open on the far side. They've got first down yardage and then some. It'll be R.J. Williams who takes it in for the touchdown. R.J. Williams on the receiving end of a 34-yard touchdown pass. And Elyria narrows the margin just a bit with 4:20 to play.
Well, typically, you only hear his name or he makes an impact on the game through special teams and his punting ability right there. I mean, as long as punting, you're 50 yards right there, he gets a 34-yard touchdown. So, nice little play there for the Pioneers.
Lex Brunner on for the extra point to try and make it 41-20. And sure, it may be too little too late, but good to see that spark from the second unit for the Pioneers. And now there's some confusion. I don't think they've got the right amount of guys in the field. They need somebody to run in. And they get somebody to run in from that far sideline. They're now down to 10 seconds on the play clock. They've got to get them set. They'll send the snap back. Hold is down, the extra point on the way, and good. 41-20. Midview leads Elyria with 4:20 to go in this one on the Lorain County Sports Network. Amari Ford to R.J. Williams on a 34-yard touchdown strike a few moments ago, making it 41-20. We had a running clock not that long ago, but Elyria still fighting in this one. They've got the last two scores, and they're ready to kick it back to the Middies. Lex Brunner will run forward, get that right foot into it, high end over end. That will go into the end zone on the north side. And another touchback. So Midview will take over at the 20. Not a whole lot of time left. And we shall see. They did have their second unit out there on offense the last time they had the ball, and I have a hard time thinking that won't be the case here.
Yeah, we'll see that second unit come back out. It's some valuable snaps here, especially in a spot like this where game now within 3 scores, but you know, their main contributors this year, all seniors. There's only a couple of juniors, such as Brendan Newton, Sawyer, or McMillan, that keep playing time in those skill positions. So you definitely got to see a little bit more of what you got for moving forward.
Late substitution. Rivera will hand this one off left side, and the Elyria front four right there to swallow that up for a loss of a yard. And we were talking about this off air, Max. I mean, when we saw Elyria last year against North Ridgeville, it was a team that looked like it was still trying to find itself. Not that they still aren't here tonight, but boy, they look a lot better than they did in that game in North Ridgeville just about a year ago.
Yeah, I think there's a few more things that they find that work for them, and they can try to open it up and rely on those. Obviously, just getting to do it consistently, play to play, that's where they got to find their rhythm with it and finding a little more discipline as well.
Rivera hands it off to Morris, and he's swarmed up in the backfield. He was met immediately and just didn't have anywhere to go. And I believe that was Cody Lauer on the stop. Actually, check that. That was Quan Ward on the stop. And Midview chewing up some clock here. 3rd down and 14. We're now inside of 3 minutes left. Noah Rivera grabs the snap. He'll hand it off again, and the Elyria front four right there in the backfield for another tackle for a loss. Logan Winkler, who just didn't have any room to run. And look, this is a good sign for Elyria, too. Man, a lot of their second unit guys are out there, but they're winning that battle up front.
Yeah, they've really been able to take it to Midview in these running plays. I mean, obviously all evening we talk about Marcus McMahon, the success him and that offensive line have. And part of you almost expects maybe just with the program they're building and the identity they're trying to go with that it would spread throughout. But right now, Elyria really doing a good job taking that on.
They had someone run out of the field, and they may not be able to get this play off.
Oh, especially that was the long snapper.
So timeout called by Midview, and well, both sides appear to be a little disjointed at this point in the game with 2:02 left. This one gets closer to the finish line. You know, the story in this one, clearly the big game of Marcus McMahon. 5 trips to the end zone. He was huge. Big penalties, momentum shifts one way then the other. I think you could certainly look back at it and point out a number of what-ifs. And we talk about, you know, the growth we're seeing from Elyria. The difference a year can make. I mean, we can point this out now because it was a year ago, but they had their quarterback just up and quit at halftime in that North Ridgeville game last year. We've seen no quit whatsoever in this team here tonight.
Yeah, they found ways to just kind of get creative a bit and continue to find different ways to attack, stay in the game, and I think it goes a long way for the confidence of a lot of guys that will be coming back next season. I mean, we saw a few plays from underclassmen here throughout the game, and you know, it's the fight of the senior class and some of the leaders you talk about, like Antonio Pride. I mean, not only are you hoping a guy get to practice and, you know, get there on time so you can all be together, but it also, I think that's the kind of thing that encourages it moving forward. Like, hey, this guy did this for me as a senior. I want to be able to provide this to underclassmen when I'm in that position. They look to me for that kind of thing.
And tonight they play with some more fire. You can see the athleticism. They got out in open space. They're very difficult to stop. Newton will get this punt off. Valante Lund was back deep. And this is going to bounce at the 31-yard line. It'll go out near the 34. So Elyria will get good field position. 1:52 left in this one.
And already we got to see the first touchdown for Amari Ford on the season last drive. He may even be able to build on that here. It looks like he's going to lead the offense back out once again.
Waiting on the official spot here. That looked like it went out close to the 34. I think that's about where it went out on that far sideline. That's exactly where they'll spot it. And we've talked a lot about what Elyria has lying ahead for Midview. Look, there's a chance to get into the playoffs. Not many teams can say they went through a 4-game losing streak and still have a chance to get in, but they do. A tough road ahead. 2 very difficult opponents. And that's a pretty tough region as well. Ford, rolling out to his right, throws this one down the middle. The pass is caught at the 10-yard line. R.J. Williams on the receiving end again, and they're set up first down and goal.
Great pickup there of 25, and a nice job coming back to that. We've seen Ford be able to lead his guys even to the point where he maybe throws it past everybody right there, brings some back on it, and it sets up Williams to come back to and get a nice first down.
Pioneers on the move again, first down and goal. Ford rolls out, right side, throws. He's got Williams open again, and he takes it in for the touchdown. Second time that Ford and Williams have hooked up for 6 tonight. This one, a 10-yard TD pass. And the Pioneers march a little bit closer, down 41-26.
Hey, we kind of touched on it a little bit when he caught his last touchdown. R.J. Williams, 6'5", just a sophomore. And this year he's been mainly the team's punter, but, I mean, you're going to have a number of guys in that receiving room moved on. The 4 main ones we talk about and a couple more as depth. And, I mean, that leaves guys like him, Eris Malone. And that could be a making of a pretty good receiving duo next year with all that size they could have in that room.
Extra point is good from Brunner. So it is 41-27 with a $1:34 to play. It's a 14-point game now. 3 timeouts left for the Pioneers. It would take something really special. But you have to imagine we'll see an onside kick. But now we do have a flag at the 10-yard line. Let's see what this one's all about. Unsportsmanlike conduct, and that's going against Midview.
Man, oh man, I mean, at this point, that now leaves the door open. When you mentioned all those timeouts, I mean, you might not even have to onside it here if you want. Just boot it deep, and the way your defense has been playing, I don't know if Midview would plan on putting their starters back out in this game, but that could leave the door open for an interesting close to this game now.
And I always feel like that's tough. You know, when you're told, okay, your day is done, and then hold the phone, there's a 14-point switch. Now all of a sudden you've got to rev the engine up and go back out there again.
Yeah, and try to get that aggressive and the intensity that comes with it, especially for an offense like this that relies on physicality of that ground game.
So after the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, they'll kick this thing off close to midfield, or so we think. But they're still putting it down at the 40-yard line.
Okay.
So now they're going to march off the penalty yardage. After placing it at the 40-yard line, they'll place it at the 45, and now they'll kick it away.
Extra clarification for us there, I suppose.
Well, this will be interesting. I mean, you're right, the way things have gone. You know, maybe you trust your defense to make another really big stop here, or you go for the onside kick.
Either way, I mean, I guess the field position wouldn't be ideal for Midview, so you kind of do whatever you'd like here if you're the Pioneers.
Brunner with the onside kick, and that ball is touched at the 35-yard line. There's a scramble for the ball. Elyria says they've got it, and now the official confirms that suspicion. They're pulling some bodies off the pile, and the Elyria Pioneers saying that they've got the ball at the 37.
What a perfect onside as well. I mean, that came in so slow, it probably felt like forever waiting for it.
So that hit one of the middies close to the 35, and then it bounced back to the 37-yard line. So this one's not over just yet.
It appears Quan Ward was able to come away with that one. So we've seen him on defense a few times. Right there comes up with the big special teams play. And I may be wrong. I'm not seeing a full collection of starters out there, maybe a few. As now the starters are back on for Elyria as well.
The starters are back for
Oh,
Elyria. Antonio Pride looking to his left. Fires this one deep down the field, looking for McCollum, and the pass is intercepted by Ansel. Ansel will slide down at the 15-yard line. He was trying to get that to Tiger McCollum. Heave that up down the near side, and it looked like that ball was batted around once or twice before Ansel came away with the pick. Now there's another flag on the field. This is back at the 34-yard line. And another unsportsmanlike conduct penalty going against Elyria.
Well, just an incredible play by Ansel to come down with that one and not let this game get any wackier for the Middies here in the end. So just a heads-up play there. And I mean, that may have even been close to a one-hander. I don't know. That was close. The way he extend, come back to it, bring his other hand back to it. So nice play. That might make the highlight reel.
Yeah, what a pick. What a pick. And now it looks like they're just going to call this a game. So minute 23 left. And the officials are walking away, and the two teams are going to gather at the 50-yard line and shake hands. So apparently this game is over. I'm not exactly sure why they're just letting this run out, but
well, there was some discussion there between Coach Armstrong and the officials, and with some of the extracurriculars and things pop up that we saw, I gotta imagine maybe that was a factor that led to that.
well, as soon as that was called, the officials just did a beeline down to our left. So the two teams will exchange pleasantries at the 50-yard line, and this one will come to a close a little bit early. 41-27 is the final score in this game. We'll step aside and take a timeout and come back with more after this in the postgame show on the Lorain County Sports Network. With a minute and 23 seconds left on the clock, this game is called by the officials. 41-27 is the final score. Midview a winner over the Elyria Pioneers. Glad to have it for you live and free on the Lorain County Sports Network on YouTube for our Legacy Home Finance Game of the Week. Here at the post-game show, we've got some awards to give away, but, well, let's just call this a bit of an unusual finish, Max, much unlike what we saw a week ago.
Yeah, just a disjointed ending to the game there, and a great effort down the stretch there by the Pioneers. Obviously, we know what Midview was capable of throughout the game, but just close to a wackier finish after that onside as well.
Yeah, they had recovered the onside kick, and then on the very next play, It was Peyton Ansel who came away with an interception, a terrific bobbling pick, and that was enough to ultimately seal the deal in this one. The Middies snap a 4-game losing streak with the victory here tonight. Elyria falls to 0-8 on the season. This one turned out to be, I think, a heck of a lot more entertaining than many thought, as the second team of Elyria really kind of came in. They took charge, and they made things very interesting down the stretch, Max.
Yeah, they kept the explosivity of the offense going, which kind of had gone away for a bit due to, whether it was setbacks because of penalty or sacks and things of that nature. And they really just kept the fight going, and it was very close to putting a little bit more pressure on the Middies.
Well, at the half, it was a fairly tight game at 21-6, and we had talked about a couple things here or there that could have made it a little bit closer, or in the case of Midview, could have made it a bit more lopsided as well. They didn't waste any time forcing Elyria to turn the ball over on downs, and then they would score a 20-yard touchdown rush from Marcus McMahon, one of 5 trips into the end zone tonight. He was just outstanding, and then he would get in again on a 5-yard touchdown rush. That made it 34-6. They went for a 2-point conversion to try and get that running clock in play with 1:31 left in the third quarter. Did not get it, so we did not have a running clock until they would force a fumble from the Pioneers. They picked it up, and they were on their own 24-yard line. They needed just 3 plays to get that running clock in motion, a 3-yard touchdown rush from McMahon, and that made it 41-6. Antonio Pride, though, just a few plays later, a 5-yard touchdown scramble to make it 41-13. And then you saw a lot of the second teamers come in. Omari Fort found R.J. Williams on a 34-yard touchdown pass to make it 41-20. And that same combination went to work again on a 10-yard touchdown pass to make it 41-27. And then they recovered an onside kick, really changing things up here. But it was an interception from Peyton Ansel that sealed the deal right after that onside kick was recovered to put this one away. All in all, I think a very, very entertaining contest with a very bizarre finish.
Yeah, it'll definitely teach you some lessons as a player, and not to mention as a staff. I'm sure these coaches learned a few things from how the game transpired in the second half there, and what to keep an eye on moving forward.
Well, let's take a look at some of our final stats tonight, brought to you by Al Januzzi, CPA.
Well, we'll jump into Midview first, as we've got some big rushing stats. We talked about them throughout the night. Not as close to record-breaking as maybe we thought at first, but Marcus McMahon, 24 carries, 170 yards, 5 touchdowns, as he really led the way because they couldn't get much else going on the ground outside of him. And we'll see if that continues to be the case next week, if they get some guys back from injury or not. And then looking over at Elyria, just want to comment on their passing game for a moment. The 2 quarterbacks combining for 16 to 23, 317 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That also saw 3 Pioneer receivers go over 60 yards. So there's definitely something there to work with for that Elyria offense.
No doubt about that. Again, stats in tonight's game brought to you by Al Januzzi, CPA. It's all about the numbers. That's Al Januzzi, CPA. And some pretty darn good numbers put together by our player of the game. No question about it. I mean, you have a handful of trips into the end zone. Marcus McMahon, he was something special here tonight.
Yeah, he showed why he's number 2 in the county in rushing yards, as well as top in the county in touchdowns, because he's got a nose for the end zone no matter what part of the field he's in. And excited to see how he continues to close out this season. And as you mentioned during the broadcast, how close he gets to maybe that golden helmet discussion. I mean, he's having an incredible senior year, and that's what it's all about with that award.
And congratulations to Marcus McMahon. He is our player of the game. And, of course, it's brought to you by Zabo Apparel Company. Be game day ready all year long with Zabo Apparel Company. Marcus McMahon, a terrific game here tonight. We mentioned those 5 touchdowns to help Midview pull away and win this one. Time to take a look now at our drive of the game, brought to you by Valley Chevrolet. Keep on driving with Valley Chevrolet in Wellington. And Max, there were a lot of really good ones in this game. There are also some really quick ones as well, but I think if you're to take a look at distance traveled and plays run, you have to go all the way back to that 12-play, 76-yard drive that ended in a 1-yard touchdown rush from Brennan Newton. That made it 21-6. Midview never trailed in this game, but that particular drive put them in a really good spot where they were up 21-6 and a half and just never looked back.
Yeah, and if my memory serves me right, that was after a 70-yard punt return touchdowns called back. So
yes,
the way they responded to that and were able to still come away with points, that made a huge difference in this ballgame.
So that's our drive of the game, again brought to you by Valley Chevrolet in Wellington. Final score in this one, 41-27. Midview a winner over Elyria. The Pioneers will have to wait one more week as they search for that first win of the 2025 campaign. Midview Middies now back at the 500 hump, 4-4 on the season. They're 1-4 in the SWC. We mentioned they do have a couple of difficult tests remaining. They will take on the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs next week, and then they have Amherst in the final week of the season. We will see Elyria in a couple of weeks. Pioneers will take on the Avon Eagles in the final game of the regular season 2 weeks from tonight. And again, we'll have that one for you here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Well, don't forget, next week, we're back at it again in North Ridgeville, where the Rangers will play host to the Amherst Comets. That could be a really big one with two teams, Division II, Region 6, fighting for a playoff spot. In the case of North Ridgeville, depending on the outcome of their game against Avon Lake tonight, they could be playing in order to get a first-round bye, or perhaps trying to hang on and host one in the first round. And the way things are going for the Comets right now, you get the impression, Max, next week they'll be trying to fight for their playoff lives in that game.
Yeah, that'll certainly have a lot of intensity and pressure on that game. And also, I'm very much looking forward to the quarterback duel. Obviously, they won't be sharing the field at the same time at 8 Point, but those are two of the best quarterbacks in the county going against each other, and we'll get to see it live.
Should be a great one next week. Again, we'll have it for you right here on the Lorain County Sports Network. Max, any final thoughts from you before we say thanks and say goodnight?
Well, I'm going to grab my hoodie, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to warm up with that, but I love that fall is here, and can't wait to continue on here for these final 2 weeks of the regular season.
We had a blast here tonight. A bizarre finish to what was certainly a bizarre game between Elyria and Midview. Pioneers fall on the short end of a 41-27 decision. All right, don't forget to tune in to the Scoreboard Show. You can hear it on your radio, WOBL, WDLW. If you haven't yet, download the app. You can hear it there as well. They've got a Facebook live stream going as well with John Guzik, Paul Williams, Johnny G, and David Q. They will catch you up on all the final scores. They'll talk to some of the game-winning coaches from in and across the area and some players as well. That's going to do it for us here at Midview. Plenty of people to thank before we sign off. First and foremost, big thanks to Dan May and Company in the athletic department here at Midview High School. Always appreciate their hospitality and letting us set up shop and broadcast this one here tonight. Big thanks to all of you for tuning into this one and watching live and free on YouTube on the Lorain County Sports Network. And no broadcast would ever be complete without me saying thanks to the entire crew. Lorain County's four horsemen in full stride riding into this one here at Midview High School tonight. Had a blast doing this one. Sam Sovacool, lights out as always on the camera. El Capitan, the director of our ship, Edwin Vereen, making sure that you could see every last bit of this one. My thanks to Max Drummond for all of his colorful analysis throughout the night, making this another successful broadcast for the Horsemen. That'll do it. One final time, your final score, Midview 41 and Elyria 27. For Sam Sovacool, Edwin Vereen, and Max Drummond, this is Andy Bullbarch saying thanks again for tuning in to tonight's game on the Lorain County Sports Network. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Friday night.